Their intention was to subvert the SNP. This is sensible, isn't it? Their intention was to subvert the SNP. This is sensible, isn't it?
He's doing a pretty good job.
This is sensible, isn't it?
He's doing a pretty good job.
I'm actually not laughing.
He's had to mute himself because he can't stop laughing in between.
I'm actually not laughing.
This is sensible, isn't it?
He's doing a pretty good job.
It resonates greatly within me.
This is sensible, isn't it?
He's doing a pretty good job.
I'm actually not laughing.
He's had to mute himself because he can't stop laughing in between.
I'm actually not laughing. It resonates greatly within me.
This is sensible, isn't it?
He's doing a pretty good job.
I'm actually not laughing. It resonates greatly within me.
He's doing a pretty good job. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide and time zones are indeed a thing. Scott's Armour's in there. I think it's handsome. It is. Can I get a wee audio check in the chat, please, just to make sure this is going out? And I'll say a couple of hellos. Well, the other two sort themselves out and decide to unmute themselves. And then we'll. Oh, Santa's back. And what about you, chum?
I'm all right, mate. How are you doing? Yeah, good. Looking forward to it.
Not doing too bad. Not doing too bad at all. I had an interesting interaction with our healthcare system today.
Ooh,
Yeah. I went to the minor injuries unit. I got a very small cut in my hand, a really minor thing, but it became infected, and I went up because I wanted to get it properly looked at. And audio's good, thank you. Emma G's looking while driving. I hope everything's okay, Emma. There's DJ's other half then. I normally don't do this. I normally don't. I normally just do things whenever I guess in. Right. Anyway, yeah. So I got a small cut in my hand a couple of days ago. Became infected. It was going strange colours and whatnot. So I went up to the minor injury clinic, and I was in and out in about 2.5 hours with the thing cleaned out, treated, and some antibiotics. So that was actually quite good. So there's that. That's a bit the head of my excitement.
Fucking hell, eh? You've had a riveting month, huh?
Well, it's the head of excitement for the day. Anyway, how's yourself, DJ?
You know, I feel like I've got this karma for all the years that I've sat and said COVID's a load of shite. And like all week I have felt like shite. And everybody at work's like, oh, well, you know, it's COVID, you should take a COVID test. And I'm like, no, I will not. But I'll guarantee if I did take a COVID test, it would probably say positive, even though they're shit tests anyway. But I mean, I don't know if it's because I haven't been that ill like in so long, or if it's just, and I've forgotten what it's like to be ill, or it's just a really bad cold / flu or whatever the fuck. But been going to work this week's been a right pain in the kahunas.
You went though, so fair play to you, buddy. You know, good on you.
See, the weather up here this week has been absolutely terrible. And I'm working outside in the pissing rain. I know it's all woe is me, get the violins out, like, but no, that's not good for you when you're not well. You know what I mean?
No.
And I know it's not COVID. I don't believe in COVID. Let me just add that, you know, for the record. I didn't bend the knee either. You fucking Ouija.
That's the message. You can't say.
No, I'm putting the Scotsman. I know, like he's as well bending the knee. Go ahead.
I'm going to have to address this one. Hashtag man flu is a fake bullshit term that should not be used. Since it's November and we talk about men's issues during November and all that stuff, particularly health, women who had an ability to sap a infection really quickly and really early had a biological advantage because you needed to remain healthy for a year and a half for the process of childbirth. Men who had the ability to not show symptoms until something had got really, really bad got a biological advantage because whenever everybody was required to go out and chase down the fucking deer or whatever the fuck it was they are, whatever it was they were hunting or catching fish or whatever it was, had a biological advantage because nobody wanted somebody that took to their bed every time. So, nah, how's that? I'll tell you why it's important. In the 1980s, we had a program where we encouraged men to go to the hospital, go to the doctors whenever they were ill. And whenever that began to work, and we started to have reduction in deaths in cancer, for example, because people were getting diagnosed early, that's whenever that term man flu was rolled out, and the good work of about 10 years was undone. So there you go. Man flu isn't a condition, and it's a particularly unhelpful term, and it is down to biology and evolution. So there you go. But yeah. So other than
sorry, mate, I was just going to say, all I will say is that the firm I work for are pretty much spread around the entire of the UK. So Belfast, where I am, Manchester area, Birmingham, all the way down south in like, the far-flung places like bloody Suffolk and all that lot. And at least one person, if not more, when you hear them, they've all got some nasty fucking cold or whatever going on. So I think it's a UK-wide thing. I don't think it's just you, Deej. I think there's something nasty going around, and it's, like I say, people who don't twist normally, like yourself, just get on with it. They're saying, "Oh, I feel rough today." In fact, I had one of the fuckers say, "COVID was better than this."
I can quite well believe it would have been if it existed. Well, I know there's probably some of the chat like it did and whatnot. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm firmly of the belief it didn't exist. It's just a flu, whatever. But fucking hell, whatever I've had this week, it's floored me. Yeah. Absolutely floored me.
I reckon it was the strand of the flu that got itself its own name.
Well, you're not calling it COVID, that's for sure. But yeah, I'd say flu. Most of the symptoms I got was the flu. Flu-like symptoms, ours, and it's the sore joints and that though as well, and the cough and the fever dreams. Like every symptom imaginable I've got. It's just, and it won't go away. Like it's fucking annoying. So,
have you tried Lemsip Max Dragon tablets?
I've been trying my Beechams. Beechams are god tier.
Beecham's Max Dragon are good stuff.
But nah, I'm over the worst at now. But it's still not gone away. I was sleeping most of the day, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Normally I'm out with my dog on a Saturday afternoon, but nah, no the day. Poor cunt got no walk. Anyway, how are you two
Doing good. My actual excitement this month was launching the song last week, which I am very, very pleased with. The latest music video with Justice Kane. Really enjoyed doing that. And there's another one on the way. So it's all good.
I'm not sure I'm aware of what that is, to be honest. What you're talking about.
Right. If you didn't see last week's stream, you probably wouldn't have seen it. It's
mint. The way I would describe it, DJ, is that it's necessarily dark, and it is absolutely fucking mint. It's really good stuff. Yeah.
It's okay. You'll hear it sometime tonight because I'm still on that line plugging this the fuck stage. So there you go. You'll hear it tonight some stage.
Like I say, last week, I mean, I don't know how long you went on for after, but I think it got to about 1 o'clock, and I just was like sort of done in. I was dropping off. So I sent you. I think I sent you on Telegram saying, "Look, mate, I want to stay on because I love Al Mack. I think he's brilliant, but I'm like literally my arse is hanging out. I've got to go to bed."
Really talented guy. Really talented. Right. Before we get any further, let's do some housekeeping. Send some. What have you got?
Okay. Yeah. Well, the usual stuff is our good friend Ragnar Ironspear over on his channel tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Rags and Jack are playing host to the National Housing Party UK guys. So hopefully Pat and John will be there tomorrow night. John Davidson's making a little bit of a resurgence. He streamed a couple. I noticed he streamed just by fluke of chance. I didn't get a notification or anything, but I wasn't really on my machine on Thursday night much. But I saw he streamed with Scotsman on Thursday night, so that'll be one I need to catch up with. But also, we did the movie review stream last night, so keep an eye out for John's streams. Just for as and when he does them, keep an eye out sort of Tuesdays, Fridays, Thursdays. I mean, he's probably just going to restrict them to mainly sort of Tuesdays and Fridays, although, like I say, the one out of the blue was on Thursday. And I know that John's got a little bit of a, he's trying to promote a little bit of a scheme to try and get some funding for the local food bank, which coming up to Christmas is a worthy cause. Unfortunately, I don't know the full ins and outs of details of that, so I'm waiting for John to supply them so that obviously I can pass that on. But please keep an eye out for John's streams. And
because I watched. Sorry to interrupt. I watched the one with Scott. So my missus told me about it yesterday. So I watched that last night. And the bit you're on about, he was talking about he's wanting to get some money together for a food bank, and he's just going to donate the money to them directly so they can purchase what they want for the Christmas period and whatnot. So,
which is,
I don't know if he's posted links or anything yet, but that's what he was talking about.
Well, it's very noble of him to want to do that, but unfortunately, I can't promote it if I don't know what If there are links for people to sort of make a donation or whatever, I don't know. I mean, until I get that, I can't really promote it, but we will do. But a week today, the 8 o'clock stream, we're also on the 8 o'clock news stream. We're going to do a 1 hour or 1 hour-ish, shall I say, Wood for the Trees special with the National Housing Party UK guys. And like I say, that's going to be more of I'm going to be sending the National Housing Party UK guys, just like we did before on the Wood for the Trees stream, a set of questions for them to sort of think about over the week, and then we'll discuss them on the Saturday. They are more of a political bias, shall we say, and the way that the atmosphere is at the moment, I think it's a prescient thing. And I think I mentioned it in the stream earlier because I did ask Packer. Sorry, is it still Packer? Is it Packer? I did ask Packer, Rill, and Joni Rotten if they would do the next Wood for the Tree stream, which is what I would normally do in the middle of the week when our great friend Bonnie Ladd was streaming on a weekend. And that's the reason why it's been a little bit delayed, because obviously Bonnie Ladd's really busy at the moment. He's sorting out work and what have you. But hopefully we'll catch Bonnie Ladd at some point over Christmas. I'm hoping so anyway. But like I say, as and when that happens, Packer, Rill, Joni, get in touch with you. But next week it's a one-off special with the guys from the National Housing Party UK, and it's going to be slightly more politically focused, shall we say. So yeah, that's it for me, buddy. And now I don't know if you want to give a shout out for the old Waffle House. And
yes, he may or may not be working. Dave's Waffle House every night, 8 o'clock. Or is it 8:30? it's 1 a.m. to 8:30, something like that. He goes live and he just basically interacts with the chat. It's really good crack. And if you need a break from all the heavy stuff and the crap that's going on in the world, that's a good place to get one. Also, he now sometimes does a after party at his very small Dave Empire channel where he plays music and stuff because it doesn't get affected because it's not monetized or anything. So that's good crack there. I was going to jump on last night for a call-in, hadn't happened. However, Emma G was on a girls' night out with her friends out of work, and they went out really early, which meant she was home really early, and it sort of clashed with when that was going to happen. So I wasn't on, but I will be on the next sort of call-in thing probably. So there you go. That's all of that. And he, there he is. He was lurking. He was on the lurk. Right. Either of you two got anything present you want to put up first for the discussions?
No, I mean, I've not really been active on Telegram today, or really all week, to be fair. So it's not like I've been posting a rake of shit to go over, like. So I'll sort of leave it to you to.
Well, I did knock up this month in feminism.
Yes.
Where is it gone? There we go. I'll find it. Here we go. There you go, mate. You can bang Lauren for a minute if you want. Is it that time of the month, love?
In the comments of the video, a lot of people said that I was trash and loose and run through, and they were absolutely right. I am run through. I personally have so much cock inside of me, and I enjoyed it.
Okay, let's end this conversation.
No! We will not end this fucking conversation! Okay, well, no, you leave the fucking camera on! No, you fucking listen to me, you piece of shit! You completely humiliated me last week! I did not fucking deserve that! I had to sit there and let people that didn't know anything about me trash shit about me in the fucking comments! Do you understand the thing that made me feel?
Oh, fuck. Priceless.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I have got. I mean,
you take too much pleasure out of making them wee videos, don't you?
I do. It's great since 42 put me on the womanism stuff. This is mustard. This stuff is great. I tell you what, right? There's a youth on the old YouTube there. I mean, I love that Joker character. Is it Joker?
It's Joker.
Better Bachelor.
Better Bachelor.
Oh, he's got some great takes.
Do you know about the retreat that he's building?
Yeah, he's got his new gaff and he's getting it all fitted out. He's basically doing a Yank version of the Woodlander, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's also building into that a retreat where men can go to go chill the fuck out.
200 grand. He won 200 grand for being the top influencer, didn't he? And he's going to invest it into a man's retreat, isn't he?
Well, what happened was he entered that competition thing and it went on votes. And he said, I'm not after 200 grand for me. I'm after 200 grand for a men's retreat. If you lot can get me to win this, I'll build a man's retreat. And that went across lots and lots of people in the men's rights movement, the channels and whatnot. Everybody voted for him, and he won the fucker. And he's now building a retreat for men, which is a very, very rare thing.
No, that's a good thing to come out of piss take. I mean, if you can turn, I mean, in fairness, he does have a lot of very valid, serious points that he makes, but it's also some of the humorous stuff, and he's like shocking.
Yes,
it's just like everybody when he's doing the run. Sorry, mate. It's just when he does the rundown of. So this woman here, she says, "I need a successful man." Ka-ching. who's an industry leader, ka-ching, who's well-travelled, ka-ching. It's just brilliant. I really enjoy it. But I've also, some of the ones that I get, like, sort of I've seen them on is another youth. I think he's an Aussie. He's got a bit of a Antipodean twang about him. Youth called Taylor the Fiend. And his takes are not as good as Joker's or that bloody Terence Pop or whatever, but the material he gets are the most extreme of the womanisms.
Yes, I have noticed that there's some redonkulous type language entering your vocabulary.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. We should have a little link where we go, but
yeah. Yeah. Next thing you'll be starting to talk about people who've had a forest of cock run through them 6 inches at a time, and end up with gynoherpescephalids.
Yeah, and 304s.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that meant. What the fuck's a 304? And I had to put it in Google to me shame, and I went, oh yeah. It does work like that if you turn the calculator upside down. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
I like it for the comedy. I mean, the thing is, once again, Terence Pop, he's a comedian, but they oftentimes do stories where they've got people who've wrote them letters, lengthy letters, and basically saying, well, I nearly self-deleted. That's another phrase that they use because they want to avoid the algorithm. I nearly self-deleted myself, but listening to you guys and some of the encouragement sort of stopped me from doing that. So good on them. Yeah.
Redonkulous has a suicide counter of the amount of people that have directly decided to stay alive due to their content and stuff, and it's over 500. Like it's racking up. As much as it's funny and all that, there is a very serious element to what they're doing. But it is funny.
I love the ones where there's one I saw and I was gonna clip it, but it had fucking copy, like it had like a because it was on TikTok, but when they filmed it, it had Justin Bieber or some fucker under the scene. So even though you're listening to the people talking, the algorithm picks up on the music in the background, and that's what you'll get. You get your stream not cancelled for, but they'll sort of put a copyright strike on it. And it was this wifey, honestly, she was like, you wouldn't be, well, put it this way, right? You'd be struggling to lift her over the threshold if you married her, yeah. And I think the last painter to paint somebody like that would be Stevie Wonder. And this lady, which I use in the loosest of terms, she's like being interviewed by this gadge, and he goes, well, what for you, what's the minimum wage that any man lucky enough? And he was being sardonic, but she didn't pick up on it because they never do, did he? And he says, so what's the minimum sort of set of bills that you'd expect off your man? $500,000, $500,000, $500,000. All right, okay. And then he goes, well, and what about the ring and that? She goes, $500,000. Oh, $500,000 ring. She goes, yeah, if he's making $500,000 a year, he can save up for 5 years and get me a $500,000 ring. And he goes, not many people work for that much. He goes, sure they are. There's lots of men who work for that. He goes, well, what do you think the minimum wage is these days? And she goes, I don't know, for guys, 100K. And I'm like, and they truly believe this shit. And I'm talking about, they were talking about people in the scales of 1 to 10. And she'd have to get off the scales before you could actually give her a rating. Do you know?
Did you see the one about the sea lion?
No.
No, there was this real heavy. I'd seen the review, and this guy was saying that she was she was a beach whale, and she had said that no less than 400,000 a year that her mom needs to make, and he was like, "Have you actually looked at your?" Says at the start of this, I was thinking that's a bit that's a bit much to expect, but then I had a look at it, and a sea lion needs to intake something like fucking 30 pound of fish every 5 hours. And whenever you take into account how much it's going to cost to feed you in fish, that's actually not out of the question. Oh fuck.
Well, it probably
Yeah.
smell the same.
Yeah, I probably would. Right. I'm going to get some actual content up here.
Yeah. And speaking of smelling the same, when we've had a few of the stories that you're going to put up, there's a cheeky little one on our theme of women selling bodily shit,
yes.
shall we say?
Yes.
I've got to get that one up, haven't we?
Yeah, we are definitely going to do that. We'll do that after a bit. Right. Route removed from Google Maps after tourists shot driving through South African dangerous routes. Now, fuck off. Where's the exit close at? Found you. Lovely. I want to check and see how this looks on the screen. That's a bit small. I'm going to zoom out in a little.
Anti-apartheid's worked out great for the South Africans.
Oh, it has been absolutely perfect. Google Maps has removed the route from its navigation system after a number of tourists came into danger while travelling towards one of South Africa's most violent regions. The technology giant has decided to alter directions after a series of incidents in Nyama, which is only a short distance from Cape Town's International Airport. So this is an area quite close to the airport, and people were driving into it. In August, a British surgeon was shot dead at the wheel of his hire car after he was rerouted by officers to avoid road closures. Carho T, 40, was shot in the head by a gunman, whilst his mother, wife and son were sat in the vehicle alongside him. An American tourist also miraculously survived being shot in the face earlier this month. Walter Fishkill, 55, had been directed towards Nara after he opted for the fastest route on Google Maps. By the time he was in a realised the area was not the greatest. He had been caught in congestion and was targeted by 4 men and shot in the face. I'm guessing that's possibly where he got hit. He was able to put up a fight until the gunman stole his cash and drove away in his car. Speaking to News 24 from his hospital bed, he said, "While I tried looking for help, I spat out a couple of my teeth in the bullet as well." Google South Africa Director Professor Alistair Monakina said that blocking Nigeria as a recommended route to avoid traffic on the main motorway was its first priority. GPS developers, including Google, are facing increasing pressure to update routes after a series of incidents where lives have been risked or lost across the globe. Google is currently being sued by a family of a driver whose car fell off a collapsed bridge after maps advised him to use the route despite the bridge collapsing 9 years previously. Well, do you know what? See if you go up and you see the bridge is fucked. Maybe turn around and don't try to go over it. Scottish authorities also advise hikers and tourists to use traditional maps and compass to tackle Ben Nevis, as Google Maps may direct them towards rocky, steep terrain and could prove potentially fatal. It's my considered opinion that they have put these two in at the end that are absolutely fucking stupid because
thinking that myself actually, you know. I mean, the start of the story, it's no way to sort of beat around the bush here. In order to keep people safe in these countries when they're using Google Maps would have to adopt a racist policy, you know, to redirect them away from areas that are, shall I say, diverse in nature. as for the bottom two stories, yeah, I can't speak for the dafty that drove across a buckled bridge, but I also want to point out the last thing there about Ben Nevis. Anybody that uses Google Maps to fucking traverse Ben Nevis, you're a bit of a roaster, But on the flip side, right, Google Maps, just on a side note, Google Maps is a heap of shit. An absolute heap of shit. Now, I go out most weekends with a dog. My missus has been with me on many occasions where I'm like, oh, well, there's this lovely lock. It looks lovely. So we'll follow Google fucking Maps and then it'll take us at a dead end. We've been driving for like an hour and then you just appear at a bunch of trees. There's no way forward. Or there once upon a time was a road there that I'm pretty sure if you sort of push through the foliage, you'd find fucking cobbles or something from a road from decades gone by. Google Maps.
The last person
shit.
The last person to walk on it was fucking Adrian or something like that.
It's like fucking hell. Honest to God.
Anybody that has done any sort of hill walking across the United Kingdom, and it doesn't matter whether you go to Slieve Donard, Slieve Binion in Northern Ireland, if you go to Ben Nevis, if you go to I can't remember the names of the ones in the Lake District, but there's some real beauties. You'll find that in order to get to that, get to the bottom of it, you follow a path. And that path, whenever it gets to the mountain, goes uphill. And it goes to the top of the mountain. And you've got a choice of which path to follow down. There's probably one over the other side, or go back the way you came. Now, I swear to fuck, because these routes have been walked for fucking hundreds and hundreds of years, for leisure, for smuggling, for whatever, there are existing paths that you just follow. Now, is it possible to get lost out there? Yes, it is, because you could be walking up a mountain that you don't think is the mountain that you're on, and then you go down it, go up another one, and all of a sudden, where the fuck you are? Right.
Or if the weather changes and whatnot.
Yeah, weather changes.
Disorientated.
Yeah, you get disorientated. You can't see shit. That's fine. But to think that the Google Maps is going to send you to a fucking a load of cliffs on Ben Nevis is fucking ridiculous. And
I can't even believe that made it into a story about a man being shot in the face by black people. People use Google Maps to traverse Ben Nevis, and and the Scottish authorities are advising them away from using Google Maps because it keeps taking them to the steep part of Ben Nevis. Who the fuck? How do you even end up in that position? There's a path here, but Google Maps is telling me to go this way, Dorothy. What should we do? Oh, well, Google Maps is always right, Well,
it's the epitome. That's the problem, isn't it? Because, that article there is basically saying, yeah, you'd have been fine in South Africa during the 80s, but you don't want to go there now. Oh, and let's temper that by saying you can equally get lost in Scotland. Let's turn the gaslight down just a little bit.
Yeah, as if Google Maps is to blame for why people are getting fucking mugged and shot in South Africa. I'm sure that's what's the problem here.
Well, it probably is, because if it wasn't for Google Maps, they wouldn't be going that way.
Maybe so, but it's not exactly like South Africa as a beacon of light for all things prosperity related as far as a country goes, is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
South Africa is kind of one of those countries where you kind of are taking a risk. Not all across the entirety of the country, but it's very easy to end up in an area where you're taking a risk. It's not Berlin or Rome, is it? It's a country that's pretty damn hostile.
You can be pretty sure that
42, sorry, mate, you got to get Willow Wookie's comments up there. That's priceless.
Well, fuck, well, that's the thing. They're not. No, they're deleting. Well,
yeah.
I thought it said detecting.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the locals in South Africa know which areas to go to and which don't, and this then becomes a problem. This proportionately affects tourists who are without that local knowledge.
Well, I just think though, if you're going to go to a country like that, you know, I mean, it's like the equivalent of going to the fucking Congo and relying on Google Maps. I mean, you're just not going to do it, are you? You should be a bit more prepared. Should be a bit more savvy of your surroundings when you're going to a country like that. Surely, or is that just me?
Yeah, maybe do a little bit of research.
Yeah,
and actually, your route to and from the airport is something that you should definitely be researching. Because you research the area you're going to, what it's like, what the demographic is, what there is in the area, what type of food's available, what type of nightlife's available, what type of art or whatever it is that you're interested in seeing, right? But that's all well and good, but you also need to research your route to and from the airport, because that's where things become very problematic.
And there's like, I mean, not on the same scale, but there's certain parts of Scotland that I wouldn't advise you to walk through, but drive through a bit different. But sure as hell wouldn't be relying on Google Maps to get you from A to B anyway, in certain parts of Scotland. But for countries like that, anywhere in Africa or most parts of Africa, like, or even the Middle East, you know, like these dafties that go like hiking and that, like the Pakistan mountains or the Afghan mountains, that, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? But I mean, you know, take your life in your own hands and whatnot, live and let live, be my guest, but don't be relying on stupid things like Google Maps. You know, fucking hell.
So you're saying you wouldn't do those things, DJ? Is that just not your, is that just not your latent racisms?
Well, I wouldn't traverse the Afghan mountains. Well, you know, I mean, thankfully, I'm the right sex where I probably won't get raped and beheaded, but, you know, it has happened to the opposite sex, so I'll be less inclined to go if my my chromosomes were different.
Yeah, just don't go wandering down that Kajaki. Have you seen that film? That's a fucking eye-opener.
There was those people that went to cycle across the Middle East, in order to prove that it was all peaceful, safe, and the people were good, that got run over and then shot.
Yeah, and then there was there's quite a lot of stories like that. Actually, there was I remember there was a Telegram post, I think it was last year, and the post had effectively listed all of the people that were victims of this over the course of I can't remember how many years. Well, let's just say for argument's sake, 5-6 years or something. And there was a good 10, 20 different Europeans or hippies, live and let live, you know, there's nothing wrong with the babes. And then they go over there, mainly women, not limited to though, because the people you're talking about, that was a man and woman, was it not?
Yeah.
But the one where they were in
it was a group of about 10 cyclists.
Oh, I was thinking of a couple. It was a married couple. They wrote the blog posts. They were writing blog posts. And then they were on about how the culture was lovely, the people were lovely, and then the blog post just stopped because they got
and up until the blog post stopped, it was shit like, we've never met such warm and kind people.
Yeah. And then and then there was a really horrible one, and I remember seeing the photos of it, where there was 2 or 3 lasses who were camping. They were hiking, and I think it was Afghan mountains or whatever. And obviously the little jihadi masterminds found them. I think they knew they were there. So well, I won't go into the grisly details, but they took photos after the fact and they beheaded one of them, for fuck's sake. But they did a lot more to them prior to that. You can imagine
Morocco. Can you?
But yeah, so it might very well be now. It was a long while ago, a few years anyway.
But more recently, there was a youth on a bike who's doing some fucking, I'm going to ride across Africa for charity. Well, hold on a minute. You know, do you not fancy riding across Europe instead to be a bit more safe? You know what I mean? But yeah, riding across Africa, and he's sort of just riding past these fucking people, and you know, he just sort of started kicking off, and he started getting a bit of a leg on, And they started chucking spears at him, literally. They did. They chucked spears at him. And then he's like, so he goes, oh, that was, these are all quite friendly people. I'm like, yeah, you're a fucking idiot, youth. You know what I mean?
Fucking spears. Oh, that's funny.
What made him think he was going to cycle across Africa and nobody was going to steal his bike?
Yeah, you know.
But that's what they're like, though, because even the women I was speaking about there, right, the ones where they were in their tent when these people found them, these girls were very, very active. I think they were German. They were very, very active in the early days of the refugee quote unquote crisis. Like there was photos of them with the banners saying "refugees welcome," standing at the train station waiting for them to come off the train. These same girls then fucked off to wherever it was. Might very well have been Morocco, and then look what happened to them. You know, so they get this little ideology in their head where they think that, you know, it's just evil and racist to insinuate that there's anything negative about these parts of the world, and they'll prove everybody wrong. And then time and time again, well, the worst case scenario occurs. And I'll tell you, I just remembered there, I'm pretty sure Paul Joseph Watson, I don't remember the title of the video, but he did a video, I think it was last year, whenever the latest example of this occurred. And then he broke down a rake of different ones as well. I think he was just basically taking the Telegram post I was speaking about and putting it into video format. But it's pretty savage. Like,
yeah, it's fucking stupid. These people obviously believe their own bullshit.
And it's just, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know why people want to go to these parts of the world to begin with. I mean, even if there was no danger involved at all, I mean, it's not my cup of tea, really, anyway. But
no interest in going there either.
Nah. Who wants to go and look at fucking sand dunes and poo on the street?
Well, nobody's considered going to LA.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point.
Oh, fuck. Well, no, it's not Los Angeles. It's somewhere else out there. Big city. San Francisco has an interactive shit map.
Oh, I've heard about that, actually.
Yeah, it gets updated about where there's most shitting on the street occurring.
Well, I'm pretty sure Gavin will be like that soon enough.
Right. I'm going to have a quick go at this one. I'm not sure if I've covered this before. I think I have, but I'm not sure. If I have, let me know. Please. Graffiti. Put my teeth back in. Graffiti threat houses will be wrecked if not allocated to locals. Graffiti has appeared in a house in a Suffolk estate in West Belfast. Warning property will be wrecked if the housing executive failed to allocate it to locals. Actually, there was a very similar story to this in Beaver State. That's why I'm thinking. A separate message written on a piece of paper on the window of the house on Calendian Park states that Suffolk is a proud working class loyalist estate and that private landlords are overcharging tenants, with the added claim that local people had to move to other areas of Belfast and further afield. For those of you that don't know, Suffolk is a very small area, a very small unionist, loyalist, British enclave in West Belfast, which is, apart from this area, all nationalist. So there's that into it as well.
Just as well you clarified that there, because when you were on about Suffolk, I thought you were meaning one in England.
No.
My granddad's brother lived there.
Yeah, Suffolk is a very large area in England, but it's also the name of a relatively small housing estate in West Belfast, which has, they're not exactly peace walls, but it's divided by space from all the houses around them in 360 degrees because they don't get on. It also said, adjust your rental fees or sell your property. The message states, the PSNI are investigating the graffiti. The latest incident involves threats targeting the housing executive and private landlords. Windows and doors were smashed in a tower block. Housing executive workers were threatened. Menacing messages were posted in South Belfast, Beaver Estate, that's the other state I was talking about. While on similar posters were acted in Rathcoole, Newton Abbey, and Morgashale outside Dungannon. These are all unionist British areas that this is happening. It's not happening in the nationalist areas. Housing Executive Chief Executive Graham Long said, "We utterly condemn the graffiti placed on our property, and we do not believe incidents like this reflect the values of the local community." I tell you what, it fucking does. And the reason why this is being done is because the local community have went to their local representatives and said, "Get to work and stop this shit." We work proactively to promote inclusivity and the diversity in our homes and estates, and that is why it is particularly disappointing when incidents of this nature occur. Now, funny I should mention that. When you go to sign up for a housing executive house or a council house, one of the first thing they do is ask you what area you want, and you get to select 3 areas, and they do ask you your cultural background, because we have a long history of things going sour when the wrong people end up in the wrong area. So yeah, when they might work to promote inclusivity and diversity, whenever they're doing geographic relocations, if somebody's coming from a Republican area, they go to a Republican area. If somebody's
mate, have you still got that link available? Because I was just thinking, I saw something there that DJ might be interested in.
Which one? The one I have up there now?
Yeah, if you scroll back down to the last bit.
Right.
Because I've just seen the ideal Christmas present for DJ's little Jack Russell.
Oh.
All right.
Hold on.
Got to get yourself... And Toffee. Toffee should be getting 6 of these fuckers. Dip your bread. This is something that every dog needs in Britain.
Right. 1 second.
Is that a Sam Smith ragdoll?
Yes.
Yes.
What was that? Oh, that one that your mum got your wee doggy last year. I howled at that. That was...
Oh, it was funny as fuck. Even the video that I took, I
did
just
a little like a parody video of that one. That was brilliant.
Oh, fuck! I don't know if I've still got. Do you still have that?
There you go, mate. Look at that there. Look on the right.
Oh, no. That is very, very bad.
I know, but
no,
I know it is on many different levels, but look at that.
Fuck.
Oh, that's going to be 5 chance raging.
Do you know what? I tell you what that would be perfect for. See if you were going to a Rangers Celtic match and you got one of those shirts, right? And you got a pig, and you put that shirt on the pig and throw it out on the pitch, and then the commentator on TV will be saying, "There's a Celtic pig on the pitch." Oh fuck! That takes me back to the good old days when whenever Linfield were playing Glentoran. If the Glens and the Blues were playing in an Irish Cup final or something at Windsor, the Glentoran fans would always put throw a cockerel on the pitch, before the match, because the Glentoran Crescent's cockerel are called the Cock and Hens. That's their club nickname. And there was one year that they had a pig and they sprayed up blue and white and threw it on the pitch as well. So there was a Linfield pig in the pitch. I thought that was quite funny. So Paul saying that dog's a socialist. Yep, it is. So it looks like there's been a concerted fight back against immigrants moving into unionist areas in Belfast and further afield. So that's actually a good sign, and it's being organised. And as much as the housing executive are trying to say that it doesn't represent the local people and we'll go ahead and do it anyway, that would be very doubtful. Because after the warning, the next stage is people come home and all their stuff's outside. And then if that doesn't work and they still don't get the message, then they get to come home to real fire. So, yeah, things are warming up. Yeah, so there's that. There we go.
Things certainly have been warming up the last few days, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, even more so, like, month, like Spain as well. I mean, I just shared something on my wee Telegram channel there, chat thing, not the channel itself. Like I forgot all about that. They're still out protesting and whatnot, up in arms in Spain. But the video that I shared in my chat there was like, I mean, I'm assuming you probably have heard something about what's going on in Spain. Like the sort of nationalists are out opposing the sort of socialist coup.
Well, what happened was there was a whole load of people arrested for the vote for Catalonia to leave Spain. There's a lot of people were arrested, and now that they're saying that they're going to pardon all those people, and there's a lot of people are very unpleased about that. The Dutch have went a bit taupe. They have been getting up to all sorts lately as well, and they had quite a good election.
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, his wife, though. I mean, I've always very skeptical of these people. But like, I don't like. See, if somebody was to ask for my opinion on that, because I've seen who was I was watching. Oh, it was the stream with Scotsman and John Davison the other night, and Streaky Bacon towards the end of the stream asked for Scotsman's opinion on what's going on in Holland, obviously with that guy winning and that. And like, see, if I had been on the stream and I'd been asked that, I would have just been like, I'd hate to have been asked that question because I'm just so fucking skeptical. See, like, it's just your man's wife, her affiliation, shall we say, kind of calls into question. It's always the same. And he's already come out. And he's wanting to, I don't know if it was like a meme tweet or if it was a real tweet, but he's already come out and he's wanting to move the embassy, a certain embassy at a certain part of the world. He wants to move that to somewhere else. Don't know, like. And then your man in Argentina as well. He's wanting to convert to Judaism. I'm like, what the fuck? But as far as Spain goes, though, I mean, like, they're out again tonight, and the video that I just shared about 10, 20 minutes ago in my chat, they're even now waving Irish flags. Obviously, because of all the shit's going on in Ireland. But to the Irish thing there, I don't even notice the question earlier on. But a guy called Parkgate, who I'm assuming is from Ulster as well. Yeah, I don't know if you want to address or not, just in case you missed it.
Yeah.
Do you know the question one about? It was at 11:16 in your chat.
11:16.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Hold on. Back.
There you go.
Right. Can the people also stand up and defend our island, north and south? Well, I'm going to get on to that. I did want to talk about what's going on down south. Now, generally speaking, I have zero fucks to give about whatever happens across that border. Be they flying, be they blue, be they whatever type of fucks, I really don't care. As far as I'm concerned, what happens across that border is on the same level as what happens in France, Germany, Holland, whatever. A little bit of the interest, but they're not a lot of people. Now, what I've found very interesting about what happened is we had an attack on Irish language school. The Irish language people in Ireland, north and south, are very pro-immigrant, are very inclusive, tend to have some form of Sinn Féin at the back of them, and all of that. They are generally on the side. They're generally on the other side of all the arguments, apart from us. If I go into my recents, right, I'll fire this up. Now, here's a tweet from the Irish National Teachers Organisation. Our hearts are with the entire school community of Gaelascoil chocolate manure. Following the horrendous incident that has taken place today, we are thinking of the children and their families of the school and their staff during this unimaginably difficult time. Right. So these are the people that represent the school, and that's all fine as far as it goes. But they also, no, not that one. Monday, 27th of November, we are calling on workers to assemble outside the GPO, which is politically the General Post Office, which is politically important in Dublin because that's a place where the Easter Rising occurred. On Monday, 27th November at 1 p.m. to stand in solidarity with the people of Dublin in denouncing the recent violence and riotous behaviour on our streets. So the school system are totally against the people that came out to protest against the people that are saying that we should have less immigrants, not more. And there is, while there is widespread anger in Dublin, there's also widespread anger at those that are angry. And I think that the people who would want us to stand with them are going to have to make their case very clearly on what they believe the constitutional position of Northern Ireland should be. Because until they make that clear, and fucking very clear, that they have renounced all claim on this part of the island and that they're happy to let us remain British, we can't work with them. It's it's just as simple as that. And well, I know Sansom's got this a very, very broad thing of where he'd be happy to work with people issue by issue on the ones that we agree with. And for the most part, I would say that, but I can't work with anybody full stop that doesn't want my country to exist. I can't do it, won't do it, don't see any value in it. And it's on them to make it abundantly clear that that's their position. The other thing is, in Ireland, we are heading for a Sinn Féin government. The main political parties are all saying that they want some form of pull on the border. Until they sort their house out, I don't think we can or should work with them. I think we should offer them moral support. I would also like to thank them for taking delivery of our 2 water cannon, because those water cannon not being in Belfast means they ain't going to be used on British Unionists, which is a good thing. But there you go. Now, there was another story I was going to pull up about that Dublin thing.
And while you're doing that, I don't know the guy in the chat who asked that question. I don't necessarily know what he's actually on about at this point, but I don't know if he was wanting Sensum to address the question or if I've missed something in the chat, because he's now said that Sensum is a disgrace to the Irish.
What?
I don't know. I'm only looking at the chat on StreamYard, so maybe there's more comments appearing that I ain't seen on YouTube or something, but he called Sensum a disgrace to the Irish. He initially said earlier on that, where am I scrolling up a bit? If the English chap wants to address my words, please address them correctly. And then I said, you mean Sensum, ? And then he responded, muck is muck. And then he just said, Sensum, catch yourself on, ... you're a disgrace to the Irish. I don't know what the fuck.
No, I don't know. Now, I'll tell you what I do. I have seen Parkgate in here a couple of times, so it's not his first time.
Right.
I would hope that.
Have you been winding him up in the chat, Sensum?
No. He started off. Right? He started off. He put a comment in that said, "I'm listening to Simon Sideways. You guys are far better," which, of course, everybody knows that we are.
We are.
I responded. Where did I put it in? Where is it here? I did respond. I said to Parkgate, in fairness, Simon's been knocking out a few good ones these last few weeks, which he has. He's been all right, old Rev. So chuck him a little boat. And then all of a sudden I've become character assassin number one. Fuck. And this is a cracker. I say, if the English chap wants to address my words, then please address them correctly. But you have to appreciate that English isn't my first language.
Oh, fuck. Right. This is the last bit I'm going to say about what's going on down south. Sinn Féin's Louise O'Reilly has called on the Taoiseach to remove the Minister for Justice, Helen McEntee, from office. If that does not happen, Sinn Féin will look at all the options, including no confidence motion, she said. The party cannot table a motion next week, but it could do so the following week. Social Democrats Dublin Central TD Gary Gannon said he did not have confidence in either Justice Minister or the Garda Commissioner. Now, some of you may be thinking this is because some immigrant decided to get all stabby at a school, but you would be wrong. He called on Minister McEntee to come before the Dáil next week and to answer questions about the events in Dublin City on Thursday. There's a nice picture of some fireworks going off. He said the policy of appeasement towards far-right protesters had to end because they believe they can act with impunity. Labour leader Ivana Black says that there has to be more Garda deployed on the streets, and there are major problems around Garda recruitment. If you think you've got problems recruiting the Garda now, where do you see what's coming down the pipe? Oh, fuck. She said Labour had no confidence in the government's handling of policing at this time. The Justice Minister is likely to face questions about the recent street violence in Dublin, but not the stabbings, when she takes the place of the Taoiseach on Wednesday during leaders' question time in the Dáil. Earlier, the Tan State Minister for Foreign Affairs, Michael Martin, has said that he does have confidence in the Minister for Justice, Helen McEntee, and Garda Commissioner Drew Harris. Speaking in Cork City this morning, he said the government's priority now has to be protecting citizens first and foremost and supporting the Garda and Shauna. In the wake of the riots in Dublin City Centre on Thursday night, Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou MacDonald said that she did not have confidence in either the Minister or the Garda Commissioner. Mrs MacDonald said that the government and Garda Commissioner had been warned repeatedly for a very long time that there was a problem in terms of safety in Dublin City Centre. Now, the safety that they're worried about is the right-wing people, not the stabby people. This morning, the Tan State said this was not the time to be undermining the Garda or its leadership, and the state essentially came under attack. The state came under attack last Thursday evening in the context of public transport being attacked, buses being burnt, drivers and guard being attacked, and the shops being looted. I think the people burning buses and the people looting shops were two different groups. Interesting fact, pretty much every working class person in Belfast on both sides of the divide know that you do not loot shops when renting, because it is a different criminal act, treated differently, and you could break the window and probably get away with it, but you go in and steal shit, you're on a whole different
unless you're Black Lives Matter.
Well, interestingly, we've never had the Black Lives Matter stuff in Northern Ireland, and they haven't really had the looting in the Republic of Ireland either. And the reason why they have got away with it is the authorities have decided not to prosecute, which will not be extended to us white people. All of this is essentially an attack on the state and an attack on families, on workers, in our communities and society that we cannot tolerate. So Mary Lou McDonald said this. This would be the same person that's in charge of the fucking organisation that put bombs on buses in fucking Northern Ireland for 40 bastard years. I think you doth protest a bit too much. But anyway, the government's focus now has to be on dealing with the threats of public order because it has an obligation to protect its citizens across the country. We also have to deal with the rapid mobilisation of people across social media platforms and the organisation of such rallying and such unacceptable behaviour. I think you got pretty much every political gain you ever wanted in Northern Ireland, violence and mainly ranting. I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. Miss Martin also said that there's no need to recall the Dáil on Monday. Essentially, we as citizens need to reclaim our streets. Oh, I'm going to read this again and I'm going to translate it. Essentially, we as citizens need to reclaim our streets as we head into a busy Christmas period, which is so important for businesses and workers, and we are not going to cow down to those who want to undermine the state. In other words, what she's saying is, see the thousands of people that they mobilise for the walk down the street shouting free, free Palestine and from the river to the sea. She wants them mobilised and on the streets anywhere that there's likely to be right-wing people. And concerns over social media abuse towards immigrants. The Chancellor said he was very concerned about the level of abuse and hatred that is being directed towards immigrants in social media, adding that the level of hatred and bile on social media platforms from some minority groups is absolutely unacceptable. Hate legislation is being brought in relation to this, he said, adding that robust engagement was needed with some social media platforms in terms of facilitation of their online abuse. In other words, they're asking for censorship. Thankfully, in Ireland, we are a multicultural society where our population and economy has grown, and our modern, progressive, inclusive society, which is worth fighting for and protecting and recommitting ourselves to, says a supposed fucking nationalist.
I mean, and it's even rhetoric like that. It's so divisive. I mean, it's not. I think we're well past the point of being able to just say that that's your proverbial cliche, namby-pamby words that they throw out, because there's obviously malevolent undertones whenever they throw that shit about. We're multicultural, we're progressive, right? That's not really where it ends, though, because what they're really inferring is it's no longer the nation it once was, and we're very, very hard left, etc., etc. It's just like rubbing salt in the wounds. What's more of a fucking problem that's taken place the last few days? Mean tweets or children being stabbed? You know? What's really more of an issue here? I mean, it's a rhetorical question, obviously. But to Woodlander's comment from earlier on, I mean, I'd have to scroll up to try and find it. It was obvious that things like this were going to occur. after the fact. Where is it? He said this was always going to happen. Any retaliation to violence against you was seen as an attack. More laws to curb your ability to protest or even react to attack. Absolutely. The first thing that they've jumped to instantaneously after children being stabbed is, well, we need hate speech laws online and whatnot. You know, it's fucking remarkable. And I mean, it's almost as if one could argue that it's just all of this nonsense that they can, and this isn't just limited to Ireland, they do it everywhere, you know? They do it absolutely everywhere. And it could be argued that they do this just to continue turning the screw and pissing off the population more and more and more. You know, because that's what this is. Open mass immigration, open borders, never deporting, red carpet treatment, criminality statistics skyrocket for a magnitude of different things, whether it be rape or murder or whatever the case may be, from unfettered migrants. Week after week, month after month, and if you say anything, you're far right, you're a bigot, we need more laws to prohibit you from being able to speak out against this, you know. And one could argue that that's done partly just to fucking humiliate you, just because they can.
Yeah, the thing about it is the people on our side of this argument aren't far right; they're just fucking right.
I know. I mean, this far right trope, it's just it's lost a lot of its power now, the same way that like Nazi and racist and whatnot have. Because I mean, even remember like before Brexit was allegedly finalised, you know, and you had like UKIP protesting and whatnot, right? And it was a bunch of pensioners, and then you've got the media called them far right. Oh yeah, so my grandma Betty is apparently a far right fascist. Like, come on now.
Do they even understand what far right is?
They absolutely don't. I mean, but if anything, I think it goes a long way to showcase the ideology of the people we're dealing with here, by and large, because they insinuate that everybody is quote unquote far right. Right, that's because they're far left, dare I say. I know, low-hanging fruit, hot take for myself, but that's the reality here. I mean, you even see it in the Scottish Parliament. Suffer so many hours of their shits week on week. You know, detriment to myself. But they don't even say far right anymore. Their attack is right wing. So they'll say, oh, we've got a right-wing Tory government, right-wing. It's always as if like saying right-wing in and of itself is supposed to be enough to justify why you're attacking people because they're right-wing, you know?
Let's get this clear and on the record. A centrist is someone who's pretty happy with the way things were about 30 years ago because the fucking centres moved away to the left. But a genuine centrist is someone who's pretty happy with the government running the schools, the education, the health, the roads, fair policing, pretty much that. You start to move to the right, you're into limited government, less laws about how commerce are done, less government intervention into education. You take politics right out of schools. You concentrate on reading, writing, arithmetic, bit of science thrown in there. You move a bit further to the right. You go into a laissez-faire economy where health and safety laws are sort of struck out and companies are allowed to impose working schedules and systems and whatnot that provided they can get people to work for that rate on that job, they're fine to do so. And then more children homeschooling as opposed to being on a state school. You go a bit further to the right, you go to actual far right, and you're into anarchy where you have a very, very limited police, a very, very limited education system. And if you want roads from A to B maintained, you form companies and you do it your fucking self. That's what far right is. And I don't think that's what these people mean.
Absolutely not. No, I mean you're far right if you oppose anything that they say. You know,
Yeah.
you disagree with climate change, far right. Climate denier, science denier. You disagree even with COVID, for fuck's sake. Back in the day, if you disagreed with COVID, And even if you weren't arguing that COVID was real or not, but you just disagreed with the policies that were being put out to allegedly protect your health and flatten the curve, you were far right. You know, if you oppose LGBT indoctrination in primary schools, you're far right. You oppose mass migration and unprecedented scales, especially, you're far right. You know, I mean, it's just a redundant term at this point, to be quite honest. I mean, is there spurgs out there that are like fucking die hard, like everybody should die apart from my weakness? Yeah, it probably is, but they're very few and far between. By and large, the vast majority of people are just normal people that don't agree with all the shit that's going on.
No, but the German National Socialist Workers' Party of the 1930s was left wing.
I wasn't even on about them. I'm talking about like especially like Telegram and that. You get like total spurgy, like Aryan diehard types. So like you know,
it's absolutely fucking nuts. What they're doing in schools is fucking sick. You know.
Yeah. All right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. Edmund has said, "What about Greek welders?" Here,
I already addressed that earlier.
Here's my opinion on that. It's not, even if he ends up prime minister, it's not going to change that much because he doesn't have enough. Most of the European parliaments are set up that there has to be a coalition. So he's going to have to form a coalition with other parties. And in order to get them to come on board, he's going to have to give quite a bit because as it stands at the minute, nobody actually wants to work with him. And it is possible that although he has the most seats at the minute, that 3 other groups could come together and form a parliament, and he would stay in the opposition side of the house. So even if he does end up prime minister, he's not going to be able to do what he wants to do before he even fucking kicks a ball. It's but it is a sign that Holland's going in the right direction.
Oh, see, I was actually funny you say that there because that's the other point I was going to bring up. I actually find it quite sad, in many respects, because I've seen a lot of people talking about it, like on Telegram posts, and I think if I remember rightly, even the stream that John Davison did the other night, Streaky was alluding to that in the comment that he asked Scotsman about. Like, it's sort of encouraging signs that people are more inclined to vote for people like him, but like this keeps happening. Now, like more and more often now, you're seeing these so-called populists. They're our guy. You know, the tides are turning. And you know, you see it in Italy, right? You're seeing it in Argentina now. You've now seen it in Holland, and people seem to get encouraged by this. And I really don't like being Mr. Debbie Downer, but I feel more that it's quite sad, really, because people keep thinking that the tides are turning, and then they put their trust in these politicians, and time after fucking time, even if they say all of the right things, nothing ever changes. Whether or not they're prohibited from being able to actually act upon anything that they claim they're going to do, or whether they had just never had any intention whatsoever, and it's just some sort of red meat throwing expedition. I don't know, but it's quite sad that people continue to have this unwavering faith in politicians, and they say all the right things, and people get behind them, and then whatever changes. That's what I find quite sad about it, in all honesty, because whether or not he does anything, time will tell. Will I be vindicated, or will I be made to look foolish? Don't know yet. I'm inclined to think I'll be vindicated, sadly. But then the next politician will just come along later on down the line, make all the same fucking promises, and then people will just continue to put their support behind said person, thinking things are going to get better, and it never does.
Well, the other problem is the parliaments don't actually do shit that affects anybody. The parliaments go along and they sit and they enact laws and repeal some laws, but all of those laws become a policy that's rolled out by the civil service, and the civil service is permanent. what you actually need in order to get the type of change that we need is somebody who comes in with a landslide and a fucking massive set of balls and clears the politics out of the civil service and tells those people, here's a crack. We're creating the laws, you're creating the policies that go along with these laws. Your policies will reflect the laws that we enact. And until they get that done, nothing changes. You know, that's essentially where the problem is. You could go a bit further than that and say that our parliaments are governed by the World Health Organization. They're governed by the United Nations. They're governed by the International Monetary Fund. They're governed by the World Bank. And these are all non-government organizations that somehow get to tell governments what to do. And our policies have to be in line with that. You've got groups like the EU, and although we're apparently left the EU, we still enacted a ban on plastic forks because banning plastic straws did so much good. That was a European directive, despite the fact that we had left the European Union. And the reason that we get for why we're doing that is because, well, if we stay compliant, it'll be easier to go back in. What the fuck is going on?
I mean, the sort of trope as well. You often hear the term "one world government." Now, that's our future. I'd make the argument we're already effectively living in that, because it doesn't really matter who you vote in, right? So it doesn't matter if it's the Tories or Labour in a British context and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, whether it's Tory or Labour, they might very well change some things domestically, right? Because they have to sort of make it look like they're different from their opposition party. But behind the scenes, they still enact and rubber stamp and give the green light to every international policy that's going. The pandemic treaty's coming down the pipeline. I'm pretty sure that's been signed now, actually, or it's been given the go-ahead to get signed. And then we've got, obviously, the sustainable development goals that every country signed up to, bar like one or two, I'm pretty sure. You've got all the WHO guidelines that we had for the COVID nonsense. All of these sort of, or the UN Migration Compact / Refugee Compact, and all the compacts that have come before that. All these sort of international laws and guidelines that we abide by, and all these international agendas that come through the pipeline, such as the aforementioned, they're always passed. So I can't help but feel that we're the only thing that's not making it very clear that we're living under the sort of one world government thing is it's just not actually being said out loud. But as far as, having our strings pulled, we're doing it anyway. The UN want us to implement this? Sure, we'll do it. The EU want to, especially in Scotland, the EU want to change a law, or the EU intend to change their trajectory and head towards passing new laws. Scotland's right there behind them, because as far as Scotland's concerned, they've already got some bill passed. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, where they intend to keep Scotland's law, Scots law, which is obviously different to British law, Scots law to be as aligned as possible to EU law, even though we're not in the EU anymore, so we're still following EU law. Yeah?
It's fucking nuts. Right. Right. Now for something a bit more lighthearted. Sansom sent this in. I don't know what the fuck that name is. Amora is making beer with yeast from her lily parts.
Yeah, this is great, isn't it? This is the theme I'm enjoying now, because you started me off on this selling bathwater, and then we got a level lower selling farts. Now we've got Lady Gunge, the clunge from a lady beer. Here we go. Absolute fucking trender. Look at this. I mean, she's a pretty enough lass, but she must be fucking riddled.
Yeah. Armouth, I'm guessing she's some sort of fucking internet thought. Has revealed that she's going to be teaming up with the order of Yoni Brewery to make a beer using pap smear that contains her vaginal yeast. Yes, you read that right. Beyond being one of the most famous streamers and internet personalities, never fucking heard of love. If there's one thing that Armarth, real name Kitterin Shargastu, is known for, it's making weird products that inevitably sell like hotcakes. Whether it's love pillows or jars with farts in them, she's seemingly no limit of what Armarth will put out there. Right. Although most of Armarth's money-making opportunities draw attention for being perceived as gross, even her slightly less normal investments make headlines, like that time she bought a gas station. Well, if you're selling farts, gas is the obvious thing to invest in. Her latest venture is one that's sure to shock people once again. In an interview with Dertoxo, the streamer revealed that she's been asked to team up with the Order of Unity, a Polish brewery, to make beer that uses her vaginal yeast as one of its key ingredients. Armarth previously teased that she was going to be making her own drink, but I bet none of us thought it was going to be like this.
Look at that bottle there. Have you seen that? Have you seen the bottle with the skank bloody gusset-laden knickers lying over it?
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I'm actually working with a beverage company. Sharon said, it's not on my own. I'm still doing the project. There's a beer company. They're European. They want me to set my vaginal yeast. Like basically a pap smear of myself. They want to make beer using my vaginal yeast. Like the same profile, I guess. Although Armarth says that she'll be using her vaginal yeast, the Order of Yoni website gives a bit more detail about how the process works. According to them, a gynecologist collects a smear from those involved with making the beer. Those involved. So it's not just her yeast you're getting other people's as well. Which then goes to the lab where the bacteria is clean, isolated, multiplied. Then that bacteria is used to produce pure lactic acid that goes into the Yoni beer, which has a sour aftertaste. Fucking bad it does. The gynecologist collects a vaginal smear from the models. These
models, is that what they're calling them now? Models. Oh, right,
yeah.
Okay.
Right, so they're going to get a bunch of thoughts involved in this, and these smears are taken to a laboratory where the bacteria isolated, cleaned, analyzed. That's the same fucking thing. Arma seems pretty confident that the beer is going to be a big hit with her fans, which isn't surprising considering how much the fart in a jar sold for. Each bottle of beer goes for around 25 salty, which works out at around £5. But there's no doubt that Armarth exclusive version of the beer is going to go for a higher price. There's no release date or window when Armarth's new sour drink is going to be released, but it does seem like she started the process with the Order of Yanni already, so it shouldn't be too far off. I, for one, can't wait for how fast it sells out and goes on the pre-order. To quote a song, we are living in the depths of depravity. This is fucking sick.
I think that's the same woman as well, who I think it was earlier on in the year. I've seen a Daily Mail article about it. The name rings a bell. She obviously makes enough money where she was able to put money in an AI bot. So there's like an AI version of her that men can pay to have dirty talk with. I mean, how fucking sad does your life have to be? But I mean, people like her wouldn't exist if there wasn't men out there giving her money. So you can shit on her all you want. And that's more capitalism at the end of the day. The real issue here is demasculated men who go out of their way to pay for nonsense like that. And you just
Uh,
know there's going to be a lot of men out there who are buying that fucking beer, right? The same way there was
how
probably
much-
a lot of men out there that bought Gwyneth Paltrow or whatever her name is candle. You know?
Well, we do have the term simp, which stands for suckers idolizing mediocre pussy.
How much does she charge to shit on her then, Deej?
Like, for mine, I don't want to make up a figure in my head. But if I remember rightly, that Daily Mail article that it was a few months ago, like it was extremely expensive to use this AI thing, and she was making a lot of money off it.
Do you remember? Well, I don't know if you've. There was a film in, I think it was the 70s, called Chinatown, and then they did a Chinatown 2 with the same main cast, Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway. And there's one of the scenes, I think it's got David Keith in it, and because Gittys, he's the detective, that's the Jack Nicholson character. And he says, and it's probably the best line in the entire film, because obviously it's not as good as the original, but this is the best line. And he goes, yeah, well, I used to know a prostitute who, she'd piss in your face, but she wouldn't let you. She wouldn't shit on your chest, because that's where she drew the line. Oh, good.
A beer that tastes like a cross between a 9-volt battery and a 10 of tuna.
I mean, not that I really want to keep going on about this too much longer, but even the article you just read out there, and they sort of broke down how the process is all going to work. So all these weird men out there, probably that have micro dicks and are virgins, are going to buy this beer thinking it's going to taste like her lady parts. It's not. It's been filtered and put through multiple different processes before it ever comes close to the bottle. So effectively, you could be getting. They don't even need to do anything with her secretions, shall we say. They could just put fucking olive oil in there or Ribena, and you'd never know.
Right.
Just a quick one there. 9-volt batteries, those are the square ones, aren't they? The square ones with like the positive and the negative.
I think so.
Doors at the top there. Has any of you seen the memes where you've got the old fuckers with those like nose rings?
Nose rings. Yeah.
They crap. I hope they did it. I hope they did it for real. I wish I could find a video of somebody where you've got one of these fucking lesbian nanotypes with the fucking nose ring, and somebody actually does put a 9-volt battery on it. Oh, it's Clive. Clive's in the house.
Right. This is not my new original thought. I'm going to put this out, but I will say some free advice to any man that finds himself sending money to a woman on the internet. Do you know what to do? Stop doing that shit. Get yourself down to the gym, do some exercise, improve your diet, get yourself a hobby, grow yourself some fucking personal standards, and become above that. The reason why that's the best that you can access at the minute is because you're being shit. Make yourself better, and you will attract a better person. It's really that simple.
Even if you don't want to follow that advice, just for fuck's sake, do anything else with your free time. Even if you want to be the fattest motherfucker on the planet, right? You're a lazy, whatever, right? Be my guest, but do not waste all of your pocket money or your dole money or your wages at the end of a week or a month on fucking slats on OnlyFans and fanny juice bottles. I mean, come on. That's the problem, though. As grotesque as that sounds, these things wouldn't exist if people didn't fund them.
Stamp collecting would be a step up. Stamp collecting, model railways, Airfix models, any of that shit would be a step up from what you're doing.
There's only one way to go from here, isn't it? It'll be my period pizza sauce.
Oh my god.
That'll be the next one, won't it?
Oh
Right.
man.
Sansom, do you know about the free bleeders?
No.
All right. Okay.
Oh, no. Well, no.
Next month I'll
Yeah.
get some links up for the free bleeders.
Yeah,
There was
sound good.
yeah, they tried to tell us that the free bleeders was like a made up thing by the men's rights movement.
Right, can I
right,
sorry, interrupt. Let's stop derailing the stream with this weird shit now, right?
Hold on, let me finish.
Moment.
Until some woman ran the London Marathon free bleeding.
Oh, you fucking started it, you pair. You with you fucking.
Don't bring
you did. Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I can find it was me.
Aye.
But I'm classing both of you in the same breath here. So it was you. See the word. If you got the word "you" as I say it, it's you. And then when I say "use," it's use. You know what I mean? Use. Y-O-U-S. Use. Use did this to me.
No.
Right. I'm going to address this as soon as said. I hate that degenerate crap that shows posts about men of value being able to cheat on spouses because that's in their nature. Never met a man worth a damn that couldn't control himself. You're right. First thing I'll agree with is you should really have one steady partner. That's the best optimal solution per bond. Treat that person well, that person treats you well, that's all well and good. But what we have at the minute is we have a situation where 90% of the women are only interested in 10% of the men. That's the data from OkCupid. Whenever they got women on OkCupid to rate all these men, they found that 90% were rated as 2 and under, and 10% were 9s and 10s. So you've got 90% of the women after 10% of the men, and it doesn't take you to be a genius with mathematics to realize that 10% are going to end up screwing around wherever they want because they have got literally so much choice, and the women are willing to do that because of this perceived, those men having the six figures income, 6 feet height, 6-pack, all that sort of stuff. It's not going to that's where our problem is. If everybody could just get a bit of reality, look for happiness long term as opposed to in the moment, and how maybe not be a fucking degenerate wanker, that would help. It would do a lot of good for society. So there you go. How do you two feel about a small musical interlude?
Aye, on you go. That'll give me
Yeah,
time.
mate. If it's the new one, yeah, get it on.
Yeah.
This is, if you haven't heard it, DJ, this is brilliant. Like I say, it's, for me, this is necessarily dark, and it's absolutely fucking brilliant. And I say that unironically, mate. I genuinely do.
Right.
Gets darker. The deeper you go down.
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And the finder of lost children.
You will need a light to guide you, and an angel to walk beside you.
I find the evil and the greedy under every turn of rock. When I spit out the truth, the establishment mock. From all sides, I watch the opposition grow, trying to terminate the information flow. But the good book reminds me that I am blessed, protected and guided during every quest. In the valley of darkness, my way is clear. I carry a big stick and I show no fear. So prepare yourself for eternal damnation. In your nest of vipers I found my vocation. Are we so deaf that we cannot hear the screams of the children? Are we so blind that we cannot see? We are living in the depths of depravity. Are we so inept we let monsters roam, fueled on power and adrenochrome? Are we so weak we cannot fight back, beholden to our masters? Of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. But blessed is he who in the name of charity or goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. The finder of lost children. The righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. But blessed is he who in the name of charity or goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. The finder of lost children. The rabbit hole. I dare you to go down. There you go, DJ. That's my latest one.
Do you know what? I do like the style, eh? Fucking, like, well, there's a few things I'll say there, but like one of the things that came up in my head was, and I'm not saying that's what that was, but music I think would be very it would be very good for propaganda. I'm not saying that's what you're doing there, but just in terms of getting messages across, is much more effective than like making a video or conducting a speech or whatever it is you do or whatever. Like for example, there was a channel I used to run like 2 years ago on Telegram. It was It was, what was it called? It was called like We Scottish Chat. I think that's what it was called. There was a boy in there that was quite musically minded, and for a while we were sort of throwing the idea about that because he was into making music, the idea that because he liked trance and techno and all that, that you could have like a sort of trance song, and then in like the build up before the drop instigated, you could have like a speech from somebody like a Nick Griffin or whatever talking about slang, because it's a lot more effective, powerful, even as to the comment there from Aurora Storm. You know, there's a lot to be said about music when it comes to push the message. That I don't necessarily think you can get across, whether you're recording a video, etc. So there's that, and the other thing is, yeah, the style as well. Obviously, I'm not somebody that's entirely shy from occasionally recording stuff myself, as you're aware. I don't really do it much now, admittedly, but no, like from somebody who is quite into that sort of genre myself, I commend you for that. It was quite impactful. So I mean, it's going forward, if you intend to do more with that guy, just pick a topic or whatever you're going to, and hey presto, you know, try and push something.
Oh, there's more coming. The next one's going to be about George Orwell, and fuck knows after that. That this started with the conversation I had with Al Mac, and by the end of that, I wanted to write something about the movement, people joining the gallery and creating stuff and whatnot. So I wrote the poem that became Harmony, Melody, and Rhyme. I didn't think my voice was going to be anywhere near it. I was just like, here's this. You know, people that do music and stuff. If anybody wants to do something with it, it's there, it's free, work away. And then he sent it to Justice Kane, and then we did the whole Harmony, Melody, and Rhyme thing. And then the album that's going on too, that'll end up on Spotify. He said, I have another couple of songs that like you help me with. First one was the next one was that, because that's based on your man Ballard from the Sound of Freedom documentary, and I wrote some bits for that, and then I came out the way it did. Fucking amazing. I really loved it, and I really enjoyed the process. And I did the video. Emma G did a lot of filming on that, and so there's going to be at least another one, and God knows how what else is going to come after. But I'd said that to him. I says, look, if you are wanting to do anything else with me, you don't even need to ask. Just tell me what the project is. I'm down for it, because I do enjoy working with him too.
It's obviously a lot better and a lot more helpful if you're working with people that are musically minded as well and can create beat. I'm assuming your man that you did that with, he did the backing track and the backing audio, and that it was him, was it?
Al Mac pretty much is the backing track, all that sort of stuff. People that he knows, he got because he's in quite a few bands. He's access to people say, right, I need this, and they do that for him, and he puts it in. So he puts a lot together. Justice Kane's the actual vocals that sound like a singer.
Yeah, whereas me, whenever I, as I say, I've got like a long-term writer's block now, but whenever I do decide to try and write something, 9 times out of 10 it fails. But if I do manage to sort of come up with something, I just have to like surf the internet trying to find a free. It has to be free because I'm paying for shit. I have to find a suitable beat, you know, like, so I don't have that luxury, unfortunately. But I will say I have teetered on doing something like that myself over the years, like writing something about some of the skullduggery that's going on, but it's just never materialized, really. And Billy blogs, I'm ill, so that's why my voice has changed.
That writer's block will break on the day that you have something that just needs to be written about, and then once that breaks, a lot of stuff will come out. You know, it's strange that way.
I used to write. See, I used to have a computer, and like, honest to God, there was like 300, maybe 400 Word documents, and they were all like labeled with my initials and the title of my rap, right? And there was so many, right? And then as I got older, it became less and less. But then, ever since my grandfather passed away when I was 22, I've just not been able to do that. I think I've written maybe 4 or 5, which are obviously like on YouTube, but I just can't do it now. I used to be able to sit there and after an hour to have a full song written. I can't do it now. So as well though, if you try and force yourself to write something, you will often find that you will struggle, or even if you do come up with something, you won't be entirely happy with it because you've forced yourself to do it. It has to come naturally.
It will be total shite.
Yeah.
I know. I've done that. In the years where I did National Poem Writing Month, where you write a poem a day for every day of the month, and granted, probably get 7, 8 good ones out of that month, but I also got like 22 crap ones. Well, I'll tell you, it's probably about 8 ones that I would consider good, 10 that are decent but mean nothing or mean very little because they're not about deep, important subjects. They don't really carry a message. They're decent poems, but they aren't what I like doing. I like doing something that carries a message. Because you can't do that every day for 30 days. It just does not work. And you get about fucking 12 that are cack.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're on about there. I mean, poetry and rap. I hate using that fucking term rap, but I guess that's what it would come under. What I've done in the past, they're very, very similar, to be honest.
No, what you've done is poetry set to music.
Well, I prefer to call it that, just because I don't like being associated with people who claim to rap, to be honest.
That is what it is, because I've listened to your stuff and it's not rap. The reason why rap has so much swear words and so many expletives and other stuff that what they're doing is they're filling out their they're filling out their syllabus count to make it.
Well, tell me about it.
Right, yes. The stuff that you do. And the other thing, the reason why rap is said so fast is because if you could actually hear all of the words, the song would be shite. And they have like maybe 4, possibly 5 good lines in there that they repeat and accentuate, and the rest of it's shit. Which is totally different to what you've done.
But see, it's just the term rap, though. I mean, you see Toffee's comment there. Where did it go? Fucking, he said he's recently going to Scouse drill music. I remember he shared one of those videos a while ago with me, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, but see, in Scotland, like, there's this, like, they're trying to mimic the sort of the grime scene from down in London and now Manchester as well. Like, so you've got like these Neds, like, quite often, and I'm not slagging Neds off because I more or less was one as far as attire went, at least back in the day. Like, but you'll have these guys standing in Glasgow in front of a bunch of tenement block flats, and they'll have like 1 or 2 black guys behind them, and they're all dressed hard as fuck, and they'll be rapping, and you can't even understand what they're fucking saying because their accents are that strong, and they're trying so hard to make the Scottish rap scene big, and try and make it into the same sort of industry that it's become as far as grime goes in England, or as the rap industry in America's go, and it's fucking cringe. It's cringe, and I'm not even slagging the boys off themselves for what they're clearly passionate about per se, but it's the fact nobody can understand what they're fucking saying because of their accents. Oh Jesus! But it's hard to listen to some of it. But to your other point there, though, like the one you made earlier on, I don't like rap music. 9 times out of 10, I don't like that type of stuff. But the music that in that sphere that I do relate to is songs that have a meaning behind them, as opposed to like a guy rapping about his Audi and his bird with big tits. You know, I can't be bothered with that crap. I don't care. Or like, oh, I'll stab you and I'll shank you, bro. You get me? Yeah. Nah, you're all right, mate. You're cool. I can't be bothered with that. But if somebody's taking the time out to write about grief or like, you know, what or the state of society, stuff like that, I can get behind it, provided it's written well. Because it's impactful and powerful, dare I say.
Stand by Eminem.
He's very good. There will never be a fucking a rapper out there or a musician or a wordsmith out there that has got the capability to play on words the way that Eminem does. But sadly for Eminem, again, he's another example of somebody, as much as he's a knob in recent times, but he's another one who will make 8 songs or 18 songs that will be just about absolute shit that nobody cares about. It's not relevant unless you're one of his pals, right? And then he'll make 2 or he'll make 2 or 3 songs out of an album or whatever that have meaning behind them and you can relate to on some level. Like that's just, I don't know why waste your energy. I know it's for money because each song generates money, but like it just can't be fucked with that. You know, the songs that are written about specific things, yeah, I can get behind it.
The only 2 rap songs I can think of that have got a decent message is "Stam" by Eminem, and I don't even know what the fuck it's called anymore. I don't know if the songs, if I've got the right name of the song, but that one about the thrift shop, about buying secondhand clothes and it being good and acceptable. I thought that had a social purpose to it. But other than that, yeah, just shite.
No, I mean he's got a few good songs that I like Going Through Changes, or another one he's got called Beautiful. Like stuff like that I like, but then he'll write stupid fucking songs about nonsense, you know. I'm like, no, you're all right.
Oh yeah, and then he done the one about Trump, and then he did the thing about Trump.
Awfully hot coffee pot. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
but no, Scouse drill. Don't do it. Don't do it.
in the week, right? I was in old Toff's Tavern there, and I was taking the piss.
What a shot!
Yeah, it is for me, isn't it? And that they had the absolute effrontery, the unsubstantiated effrontery to call me a boomer, no less. So I knocked up that old that 5 minutes thing because I'd put a picture in there of old Bill Bixby, you know, the Incredible Hulk, like the end of the Incredible Hulk, and I knocked up a parody of that, but I thought I was taking the piss, and I'm certain nobody listened to it to the end because I sent you it, DJ.
Yeah, you did, but I didn't hear anything at the end. It just played out. I thought you were just asking about the end, like the song, because it sounded sort of drum and bassy at the end.
Yeah, that was it. That's exactly what it was, because I was expecting nobody to play it to the end. But Budgie Burger has said that they like a nice drum machine. So here we go. I don't know if this will work, but we can give it a try. Do you want to share this one? It's only on for a minute.
Yep.
Right, it might work. Anyway, so the reason it's called 5 minutes, and the reason why it's called 5 minutes is because it took 5 minutes, and it tells. But this was my attempt at putting it together with a picture of Bill Bixby from the end of the Incredible Hulk. But halfway through, it changes, and I bet no fucker in that chat, because they're all fucking TikTok mongers, thumb dummies. Oh, 6 seconds, yeah, fuck that off. I bet none of the cunts heard the end. Anyway, here we go. Yeah, so there you
And
go.
you're like, oh, listen to the end. I was expecting to hear some fucking crass sentence recite at the end.
No, I meant because like the switch over to the old D&B stuff in the middle. I bet you none of the thumb dummy wankers, the TikTok brigade got past 6 seconds.
And you got called a boomer for that.
Oh no, I got
You're a
called
boomer
a
because you
boomer.
won't download that blogger, but like,
Well,
I
that
mean-
was one of the things, but there was several other things that were going on in that particular conversation, that I was observationally correct about. But they called me a boomer. There you go.
well, yeah, a bit, but
yes.
In other news, BBC progress report on 112 million diverse production and talent investment. The BBC is for everyone, and audiences from all backgrounds regularly expect to see themselves represented on our programmes. And that's why we are leading the way by making the biggest financial investment on our inclusion in the industry. I'm delighted by the progress we've made in the first year, which is an important milestone and provides a solid foundation for us to go even further to ensure the BBC truly reflects the public we wish to serve. June Saprong, BBC Director of Creative Diversity.
who is an absolute bellend, by the way. But even that, can you scroll back up just for a second there? Like that fucking first sentence, I'm so sick of hearing this. The BBC is for everyone and audiences from all backgrounds. Right, they rightly expect to see themselves represented in our programs. Which I mean, that annoys me because you hear it everywhere. This lack of representation, right? So your parents, your grandparents, or you yourself move to a white country, and then you apparently expect to see yourself as a brown or a black person on the TV and in adverts, etc., etc. Since when was that some sort of written law or a human right law that needed to be abided by? It should go without saying that you're not going to see yourself in programs, etc., when you move to a country that has a predominant ethnic group that is different to your own. I'm so fucking sick of that nonsense.
Could we see some white, straight families and
That'd
stuff
be nice.
there?
That would be lovely. Instead of that, you just get gay white men or like mixed race couples.
The BBC is today updating on progress on its creative diversity commitment, the biggest financial investment on our inclusion in the industry, which prioritises 112 million of our existing commission budget over 3 years, from 2021 to 2024. Following the first year of commitment, the BBC has invested 44 million in supporting a total of 67 TV programmes across all genres to increase diversity and inclusion both on and off air. The programmes were made by 48 different independent production companies, with 73% of those companies having diverse leadership and 10% having been commissioned by the BBC before this year. In addition, 4 million has been invested in supporting 90 diverse radio commissions. Why are we having diverse radio commissions? The BBC is on track to invest the full 112 commitment, 100 million for TV, 12 million for radio by 2024. The BBC has broadcast a huge array of diverse TV programmes across the year, which authentically reflects our audiences, nurturing device voices and working with diverse casts and crews from the BBC Threes to Night with Target. Well, why do we even have BBC Three? It is shite. Get it off the air. Then Barbara met Allen, grew up, Britain's next makeup star, a documentary. This Girl's Changed, Young Welsh and Bossing It. Yeah, it's just a list of shows. The Radio Diverse program included 5 live podcasts. Tony Bello is angry. 1 extra's pressed. More names of shows. All programs that qualified for financial investment met at least 2 of the following 3 criteria: diverse stories and portrayals, diverse production leadership, diverse company leadership. The criteria were discussed at the point of the program's commission and then measured at transmission, ensuring the BBC is looking for developing and choosing programs that represent all audiences across the UK and accelerate the pace of change, increasing diversity and inclusion across the industry. The key thing I want to get back to is 112 fucking million of TV license payers' money spent on this bullshit. And the other thing is, where they keep on saying that people need to see people that reflects them, it doesn't seem to affect EastEnders, because if the EastEnders show that goes out currently properly reflected the cultural makeup of people on the East End, it would be 95% Muslim, and every 3 weeks somebody would be fucking off to join ISIS or Palestine. That's the facts of the matter. So why is that not being shown? And why is EastEnders being kept as a fucking period drama? Discuss.
I've always wondered that about EastEnders. That's a good point, actually. I think Morgoth made a video about that a while ago, if I'm not mistaken. But I've always wondered that about EastEnders, and I can't help but feel that part of the reason that EastEnders is still very well. I don't know the sort of the breakdown of the ethnicities and whatnot now, because I don't watch it. But back in the day when I used to watch it, when like Big Phil and Grant Mitchell, the big bald hard men, were wandering about in their like, I used to watch it back then. It was pretty white. Pretty sure it's still kind of white. I don't know, but I've always wondered if the reason, and here's me just throwing out a sort of hypothetical here, I've always wondered if the reason that it's still predominantly white is to keep up the illusion that things aren't really as bad as they are. And the only people that would really be able to argue against that's people like live in London or whatever. But like if you live in like Bolton or, I don't know, Coventry or something, and you watch EastEnders regularly, you're just going to think that everything is normal. Whereas London is not fucking normal in terms of, to quote John Cleese, it's no an English city anymore. But EastEnders is watched by so many people across the country, sadly. I can't help but feel that it's there to sort of uphold the illusion that things are how it's always been.
I'll go further than that. I will say, in my opinion, EastEnders was created with the knowledge that the East End was going to change dramatically. And it was put in place at that time and stayed majority white through the demise of the East End and the extension of Cockneys, because the vast majority of people watch EastEnders and believe that's what the East End's like. And unless you live in London, you don't go there, you don't visit, you don't see it. So you don't know it. And I will also say something very strange about the power of soaps. People believe the characters are a representation of those characters, because this is all like I'm going back about 20 years here, and there was an older woman that was a relative, and she was saying that how gay people are brilliant and you never meet a nasty one and they're all lovely. And I said, seriously, how many do you know? And she pointed to the gay people in EastEnders. And I'm like, you know, they're not real. And she really didn't get it. She thought all gay people were like the really nice gay people in EastEnders. And she would also think that all black people are like the odd nice black person with good families that you find in EastEnders or Coronation Street, because that's the only ones that you ever encounter. And I think the reason why EastEnders was brought into place and stayed the way it is was for the managed demise of the Cockney people.
Well, I can't really disagree with that. It's a pretty well thought out hypothesis, shall I say? To be honest, taking my point a step further, but yeah, I could totally see that. To be honest, I never really gave it that much thought. You clearly have, but no, see, I can't help but agree with that. Actually, makes sense. I just wish my mother would stop fucking watching it. Oh, and Coronation Street as well. Oh my god. But no, I've always thought it was weird that, like, London is like, I don't know what is the percentage. I mean, white is obviously, you have to break that down further, because some of the white block in London now is like European migration and whatnot. Or the actual English people in London, it's like, I don't know, like 20% or something. But yeah, EastEnders, you've got like fucking pensioner Phil Mitchell now and his gay son, and half of the street, if not 3/4 of the street, all white. Yeah, you ain't seen that. Like, but yet for some strange reason, that's the one fucking show that's got BBC tentacles all over it that hasn't been diversified yet. And funnily enough, you also never hear calls for it to be diversified. Where are all the activists screaming out for EastEnders to be more representative of London? You know, because they'll do it with everything else. Cricket's not representative enough, you know, or bowling is not representative enough, or whatever. But yeah, EastEnders, now that gets a free pass, weirdly enough, huh?
Yeah. 1 second.
The thing is, right, when I was a kid growing up in Stoke, and I think James Ayworth mentioned in there, it came out in '86. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly when it seems like something that come out a bit earlier than that. But when it did come out, I remember I was playing. Because there was this, like, where my mates lived, there was this like central field. There was like a set of houses, like a cube almost, and in the middle there was this like grass pitch. And on a Sunday we used to play footy in there. And obviously Sunday afternoon was EastEnders Day, because before it used to be on every fucking 5 minutes on BBC. It was on I can't remember if it was on twice a week, but it was definitely on a Sunday afternoon, sort of 2 o'clock.
Oh, yep. Whenever you count the repeats in the omnibus episode, it was on pretty much every day.
We'd be playing footy, and then, like, you know, half a dozen of the lads, because we all had like the Casio fucking digital watches. About 10 to 2, be like, peep, 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 peep. What the fuck's going on here? All right, yeah. And this was lads, and they'd all fuck off in to watch EastEnders. It's like, the fuck, what's this shit like? Oh, it's great. Oh, it's great. I'm like, what is it though? Oh, it's great. I like to. I'll have a watch of this thing. And so I got, following week, or when it was raining, when it was pissing down, and we didn't want to fuck off, like, getting clarty and whatnot. Well, I'll watch this shit because it was on. And I thought, the fuck is this bullshit? I've got nothing in common with these fuckers. The only thing I actually enjoyed, I think, in that original EastEnders, being the age that I was I thought that Letitia Dean had a cracking set of Norks. And that was pretty much it for me.
No, but Sanson, here's the thing. You were supposed to be watching Coronation Street, mate.
Well, but that was on a night time, wasn't it? This shit was on a Sunday afternoon. And I couldn't believe there was like teenage lads fucking off into. And I was thinking, all right, well, you know, it must be pretty tasty, like as regards to the eye candy. And Anita Dobson, you know, she was passable at that time in the sort of mid-80s, Mrs. Brian May, as she is. And I thought, yeah. And then Letitia Dean, I thought, yeah. Because they made out, I remember in that mid-80s area, like time span, they made this, it was the current bun, because the current bun always used to like putting up like people against one another, even though there was no animus or even interaction between them. So one of the earliest ones I can remember with the current bun, trying to stir up sort of animus that wasn't there, was between Lena Zavaroni, if you remember that young lady who tragically died, and Bonnie Langford. That was a big, you know, it was supposed to be this big you know, rivalry. And there was no sort of fucking rivalry there between those two ladies. And then they brought out a next one, which was Sam Fox versus Letitia Dean. And I was like, well, as long as they get the chebs out, I don't care. You know what I mean? They can both be on my side.
Was it Lena Savaroni that did the good chip lollipop?
No, that was Bonnie Langford. Lena Zavaroni was a hell of a singer. She was one of these child prodigies. She had a hell of a voice, but unfortunately, she also had that anorexia nervosa, and it was sadly, you know, it was for the end of her, the poor lady. A bit like Karen Carpenter, unfortunately.
I seen a clip of the good chip lollipop about a year ago. I don't know how I fucking ended up watching it, but fuck me, that was horrifying. Because at the time whenever I first seen it, I was a child, and I was watching it as a child.
Yeah, well, she came on and did those sort of retro versions of what was the name of the American child actress? She became the senator for Hawaii or something for a while. What was the name? Oh, I can't remember now. Shirley Temple, that's it. Shirley Temple. So they raked out Bonnie Langford to do Shirley Temple bloody skits. And then she was in Just William. And I remember that program when I was a kid. That was really good. And that was when she was there going, and I'll scream and scream and scream. And that's where everybody sort of like, oh, she's horrible, that kid. It wasn't her. Bonnie Langford was a lovely lady. Do you know what I mean? Still is. She's still alive now. But then they try to make this bloody big thing that because Lena Zavaroni was a teen or an early teenager and Bonnie Langford was, that, oh, there's this huge rivalry between these two kids sort of thing. And obviously that wasn't true. And then when that fizzled out, they brought out this, you know, this faux rivalry. Who's best, Letitia or Sam? And it's like, fucking, come on. That was the quality of the current bun, which is far greater than the shit they bring out now, put it that way.
We just see a shit.
Mother was here.
This is the Candyland Hour for all good children. The orchestra will play our theme song.
You know that song, don't you?
Sure I do.
Well, then sing it. Go on. Come on, Charlie, sing it.
I've thrown away my toys, even my drum and trains. I want to make some noise with real life aeroplanes. Someday I'm going to fly. I'll be a pilot too. And when I do, how would you like to be my crew? On the
pop, it's a sweet trip to a candy shop where bonbons play on the sunny beach of Peppermint Bay. Lemonade stands everywhere, Cracker Jack bands fill the air, and there you are, happy landing on a chocolate bar. See the sugar bowl, do the Tootsie Roll with the big bad devil's food cake. If you eat too much, oh, you'll awake with a tummy ache on the good ship. Lollipop, it's a night trip. Into bed you hop and dream away on the good ship. Lollipop, on the good ship. Lollipop, it's a sweet trip to a candy shop where bon.
I'm not gonna lie, boys. That just made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before, but you know, back in those times, nobody really would have known about the absolute fucking heinous activities that take place in Hollywood, the music industry. So I'm obviously looking at that with sort of with hindsight tinted glasses, if you will, and I just get very weird vibes from that.
If I seen it before, I seen it as a child.
I mean, I'm not saying that, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't even know who that girl is. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know. It was just weird to me. That made me uncomfortable, to be honest.
I came across it about a year ago. I was like, that is fucking sick.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was Shirley Temple. She became, I think she was the governor or senator for Hawaii. Yeah. That was star quality in the 30s. And like I've just said in the chat there, if you notice the bloke second on the right, that was Joe Biden when he was only 30.
You got were you see you're taking the piss? I don't know if you're taking the piss for no way.
I'm taking the piss.
Okay, now. Edmund Holyrood, the music industry. I don't know if you're referring to what I said. I meant both. Like, you know, there's certain parts of the music industry as well that are very questionable, especially with young upcomers and whatnot. You know, I don't really think we'll ever know the full details of all that goes on in these spheres, but child performers, quite often they only get their claim to fame. Things sometimes occur, shall we say? You know,
yeah. Just play ping pong and order pizza. You know,
exactly that type of thing, and that's the vibe I got off that. That was weird.
And what would you like on the menu? It was just a conspiracy theory. Nothing in it. Come on. Hey, wasn't one of the fuckers who came out and was saying all that shit was a fucking conspiracy theory just got arrested for actual the letter P, shall we say, in the last couple of weeks or so? Was it Podesta or something? His number 2 or whatever just been arrested for the P word. Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, and definitely do not look up for the photo fit of the person that was allegedly seen with Madeline McCann on a picture of the Podesta brothers. Don't do that, because
no, don't do that.
They look nothing like each other.
Nothing. No. Yes. No, that was just a photo fit accident.
Yep, it was. It was indeed. DJ, see the link that you put in about the anti-racism charter?
Mm-hmm.
Right, we'll throw that up.
I've got it here in another tab. 2 seconds.
Right.
Present. This is only a 3-minute thing, but I'll obviously pause it. No, I won't play. If you want me to pause it at any point or whatever, then I will. But I'm just, you know, Scotland never fails to amaze me. In all honesty, with how fucked up our education is, or is getting even. So let me see. Share my screen. So I will mute my mic. Is my screen sharing yet? No, it's not.
It's showing up in the thing, but the tab for added the screen's not coming up for some reason.
What the fuck? Does it matter about?
Got it now.
Right.
Anti-racism is an ongoing process. It needs careful planning, it needs commitment, and it needs constant learning, action, and evaluation. We understand that work doesn't fall to one person, one department, or one team. It's the responsibility of all of us.
We aren't just stereotypes.
Race and culture should be taught about more in school. Representation and diversity should be considered as part of the learning curriculum.
Glasgow's great strength is its diversity, but that diversity demands a culturally responsive curriculum for our children and young people that represents that richness and diversity of our communities. Tackling racism, challenging racism in our everyday behaviours and our resources and our attitudes becomes really important. So anti-racism needs to be at the core of educational services. I know that's an ongoing process, but our anti-racism charter needs to become central to what we do and who we are.
We need to recognise all people and their place in history and society.
Don't say no offence, then say something offensive.
I'm pleased to introduce Glasgow Education Services Anti-Racism Charter. We will promote a rights-based approach to learning and well-being, understanding racism in the context of GIRFIC well-being indicators, children's rights and human rights.
We will ensure processes for reporting, recording, monitoring and dealing with racism and racist incidents enable all staff and learners to come forward, and that a consistent zero tolerance approach is taken.
We will model personal and collective leadership across the education system, both in actively promoting an anti-racist culture and in supporting people who experience racism.
We will foster an anti-racist culture where racism can be discussed openly, honestly, and with humility, and with a willingness to take risks and make mistakes while remaining accountable for our actions.
We will maximise actions to overtake the 2030 recruitment and retention target for Black and minority ethnic teachers in Scottish education as outlined in the Teaching in a Diverse Scotland reports.
We'll engage in necessary reflection upon our assumptions and biases, our racial and social identities and those of others, and consider the impact that these have on our professional practice.
We will safeguard against racism and discrimination, understanding these as a source of serious harm for our learners, colleagues, families, carers, and wider community members.
In education services, our anti-racism charter is clear. It covers a number of areas, including our anti-racism leadership and anti-racist culture, ensuring safeguarding children's rights and diversity in the workforce. We are fully committed to anti-racism and have many ongoing actions and developments linked to equality, but we are not complacent. Our anti-racism charter is our declaration and affirmation of our continued commitment in Glasgow.
What do you make of that?
Those fuckers should not be allowed to be anything to do with the education system.
No, 100%. Yeah, fucking demons.
It's just like this concept. You think you said it earlier on. I think you said it in the chat that anti-racism is anti-white. Obviously, that's the worst part about it. That's actually literally all it is. When you look at like how these sort of quote unquote anti-racists, which are just critical race theorists, how they define, what they're trying to achieve. And a large part of it stems from attacking whiteness. Like they claim that whiteness is the problem. This is where you get your terms such as white supremacy, etc. This is what they're attacking. So everything that they and from that stems things like one of these fuckers in that video alluded to a lack of representation in teachers and whatnot. People need to be represented, etc. So that there's your attack on society at large. They have a problem with white people being teachers as opposed to teachers being black, etc. So that stems from whiteness. And the insinuation is that if the teaching workforce, by and large, is predominantly, if not exclusively white, that's racism. I'm fucking sick of it, really, because when you start to read beneath, you scratch beneath the surface and you see what they're actually on about, it becomes pretty clear. But they masquerade their true intentions behind these terms, such as anti-racist. And of course, if you put that notion forward, that label forward, you'd look like a bit of a cock if you disagreed with that on the face of it. Oh, you disagree with being against racism? Well, you must be a dick, right? Nobody's going to say that they're against racism. They don't want to see like a wee black boy, hypothetically speaking, being bullied in school just because he's black. Like, of course, that's fucking wrong, right? But that's not what they're doing here. It just showcases their cowardice, in all honesty, because they can't actually come out and say that that's what they're pushing. That video there that I played should be called the Anti-Racism Charter. It should be called the Critical Race Theorist Charter, which is predicated on shitting in a Scottish context, Scottish society, but it's not limited to, because it's all over the UK. It's coming soon to other parts of the UK, but it's much more prevalent in Scotland and Wales at present. You're seeing it across Europe. You're fucking seeing it in America, the most extreme version of it. And it's just never ending. And then this kind of boils down to another thing that I've spoken about before. I think it was a stream you did a wee while ago on your channel, 42. It was one I caught up a bit of. You had, who the fuck was on that stream? Said you were on it saying some Toffee and that Vincent Griffin, and you were talking about like the sort of white versus ethnic shit, like they keep talking about fucking whiteness and whatnot. And that stuff annoys me, like white supremacy. And if you've got a problem with what they're pushing, it's white fragility. I don't even see myself as fucking white. I'm Scottish. We're Scottish. The country that these people are trying to insert this shit into, we're Scottish. We're not white per se, But they've taken an American concept, which started in American university campuses, right? With critical race theory started in American universities. Okay, and obviously in America it's a bit different. You're a white American or you're a black American, etc., right? So they see things a bit differently. There's more racial lines over there, whereas across Europe and in Britain, it's more ethnic lines, right? But they've taken the concept of critical race theory, which shits on white people and everything to do with the term white, and they've copied that and they've pasted it into Scotland. Right, and they're using the same shit, the same markers and the same labels, the same narratives and whatnot that they would push in American campuses and whatnot, and they're trying to do it here, and they're trying to attack Scottish people on the same sort of white lines that they were attacking white Americans in America for. I mean, it's just preposterous.
But is their definition of racism even correct?
The way that they define it,
yeah. I'm pretty sure that they're going to define it as just like of people from
it's prejudice plus power. Is how
prejudice plus power, right? Yeah. No, I'm sorry, you don't need the power to be racist. You can have zero power and still be fucking racist.
No, of course you can, but that's how they get away with it. Yeah, and if anything, it's actually more than that though, because it showcases what they're after, right? Because it's very strange because they keep talking about redistributing power, right? So on the one hand, they say that they're hard done by and oppressed and marginalized, etc., because they lack power, and then they talk about the system, the structures, the institutions, and the people themselves all being inherently racist because they hold the power, but yet they're angling for power, which suggests to me that they intend to inflict racism upon me and my kin when they obtain power.
It's not only that. That's the reason why they can't get. See, with a proper definition of racism, you could report programs like that as hate crimes.
Yeah, you think.
No, well, you could. If you had a straight court, if you had a straight policing system, and you had a straight definition of racism, you could report that as a hate crime. The reason why you can't is because they butchered the definition of racism.
Oh, on purpose.
Yep.
They butchered it on purpose to exempt them from it. It's the same principle is applicable with what they used to call what was it? Positive discrimination, or it's positive action. Like the same principle is applicable there, because they are discriminating against white people for specific job roles and whatnot, but they get away with it. And in fact, the Equality Act's even got a caveat where that's allowed. Positive action is included within the Equality Act, so they can actually legally shit and discriminate on white people. It's just, I don't know it. Like it's the education shit's obviously something that's pissed me off for a long time, right? We can sit here all day and whine about like a Fuhrer Hirsch or Ash Sarkar or whomever else shitting on white men, but we're men, we can fucking take it, right? It's not exactly great, and we shouldn't have to just accept it for what it is, but that's the reality. If you're a white man, you're going to get shit on in some capacity, right? We're all used to it at this point. But the education is what's really fucking me off, and has been for many a year now, because there is no limit to what age they will not target. You know, they're going after children in nursery in Scotland now. Right, so this is children that can't even fucking walk properly yet, right? They're just getting their bearings in life. They're 3 or 4 year old, and these cunts are going after them with their cancer, and they're allowed to do so because they're funded by the government, supported by the government, supported by the media, etc., and parents are none the wiser, because even if they get a whiff of what's going on in these institutions, they're met with the caveat of, it's just anti-racism. It's just anti-racism. And people don't really feel compelled to look any further than that. Because if you're a parent that's going to work and, you know, you're just going from paycheck to paycheck, you might not necessarily think you need to look any further into it. Because as I said earlier on, if somebody says to you, oh, well, do you oppose racism? Of course, most people are going to say, no, I don't. Well, there you go. That's the end of it. Right? So then they just accept that this has now become part and parcel with their child's learning development. You know, but they're going after nursery kids now. You know, I'm fucking sick of it, really. Yeah? There's another video here that I've got on a more lighter note, just going to show the absolute state of Scottish teachers, right? This video is fucking embarrassing. Okay, so obviously global citizenship education is a big thing in Scotland, because we love to bootlick the United Nations and UNESCO. And this video doesn't disappoint, really. But you'll notice a bit of a disparity in this video here, and this is not all too uncommon in Scotland. It's usually fat women who call themselves teachers, and yeah, well, you'll see for yourself. This video here, by the way, oh dearie dear, this isn't cringy shit, like.
The topic that we're looking at this year is migration and belonging, and it's called the Giant Migration, a Giant Problem ? And we've just started, so the teachers at the moment are in character. They are split into different families in a community that they made up called Eco Bride, quite similar to Eco Bride, but Eco Bride. We went through a democratic process of deciding the name. We know all of the different roles of the people in the community. They've got their different family names and the different services that exist in the community. So that's all been mapped out. They've done a day in the life using still image and improvisation. And they're about to put forward video entries for the fictitious Rocky Award, which is a rights respecting award, similar to the Rights Respecting Schools Award for schools, but this is for communities. So the children would be doing this as characters. So that's the noise in the background just now. And the teachers will be going into character soon to present the videos that they're going to send in for this award.
Right. And then they in turn take the shit that they learned at this little groupthink session into their classrooms and start to propagandize the children. You know? Yeah, you can laugh at the embarrassment that was on display there, because believe me, I did when I first seen that video. A bunch of overweight, rotund women singing and dancing, pretending to be immigrants and whatnot. But the reality is, as was emphasized when the women started to narrate, they're on about migration and whatnot. And this is for classrooms. So they all go to these really cringe and gay groupthink sessions to compile some new materials amongst themselves. They then in turn take this into their classrooms. Now, I don't recall ever having to learn about immigration when I was in school. Quite frankly, no child should be learning about immigration. And on a side note as well, even the mere notion of teaching children about immigration, you just know damn well that that's going to be framed from a very biased perspective, right? It'll be about all the wonders of immigration and all the totally legitimate justifications for why we're seeing mass immigration, such as climate change, etc. You know, it's never framed correctly. But it's just ridiculous, and I'm sorry to say this, and I'm not by any stretch of the imagination somebody who would be characterized as anti-women. I can't really be arsed with these fucking people that sit and shit women all day. But there is seriously a female problem in Scottish academia. It's vastly overrepresented, females are, and out of all those female, I would argue about 100%, if not 99% of them, are all feminist retards.
Right. I've got this really strange, radical notion that if you want to develop a curriculum, you get in professors. You study the history of it, you study the thing, then you bring in people that are professionals at presenting education to people of an age group so that the information comes across age appropriately. You then develop textbooks and you teach that way. You don't go do some fucking ad lib impromptu fucking video bullshit and then pass that out as a educational syllabus. This is fucking madness.
Sure. And it gets worse, because I'm not going to play the whole thing of this. I'm just going to skim through this video that I found last night, because it just shows this is the Highlands. So I mean, even the Highlands is not getting away from any of this shit. Like, so let me share the screen again one last time here. So is it sharing now?
Yep.
Okay. Right. Let me put this on full screen. I'll put the volume down a bit, because I can't remember if it's talking or not. But this is a year of review, right? It's been another busy and impactful year at Highland One World as we continue to promote global citizenship education. But look at this the next slide. We work with local authorities and other partners to create a range of professional learning courses and resources to support learning on a range of global issues, including children's rights, which is a UN Trojan horse, right? The Sustainable Development Goals, racism, the climate emergency, and the current conflicts. Right?
Sorry, what age are these kids? Because they look quite young.
Well,
primary school?
Primary school as well as high schools, aye.
Right. None of that belongs in primary school.
No, it doesn't belong in high school either. In all honesty, I mean, I don't know how clear this is, but on the top right corner of the screen now, it says the big five, the 5 big ideas in global citizenship, and then it says globalization and interdependence, right? Social justice and equity, identity and diversity, sustainable development, and conflict and peace, right? And then there's another bit here, and it goes on to talk about like how many primary schools and shit. They've got over 1,000 practitioners, and that reached a total of 204 schools in our areas, 153 in the Highlands, Argyll and Butte 16, and LNCR 35. But a wee bit further on, introduction to global citizenship and learning for sustainability, right? We've continued to support newly qualified teachers to embed global citizenship into their practice, right? Newly qualified teachers, and the first thing that they have to do, put down your maths textbook, put down your English jotter. We're going to learn about global citizenship. Oh, yeah. What else have we got here? I mean, yeah, to your question there's an example of how old we're talking here. They're just little children. And look at this fat woman here holding a doll of a brown girl. Oh, look at her. She's just like you, you know? Israel and Palestine, for fuck's sake, as if that's relevant to primary school kids. And then, as part of the Cairngorms 2030 project, we work with 693 pupils from 5 secondary schools to create a Cairngorm 2030 vision for a fairer and more sustainable future. So the sustainable development goals enshrined in everything that they're learning in schools now. No place whatsoever, no relevancy whatsoever. And if anything, dare I say, this kind of goes full circle to something I said right at the beginning of the stream when I said the one world government type shit, because it doesn't matter who you vote in Scotland, right? On a local level, or dare I say, on a much larger scale, as far as Holyrood is concerned, this shit is sneaking in the back door regardless of who you vote in, because they're all on board with all this shit. You know why? Because the UN said so. I worry for the youth of tomorrow, or the people of tomorrow, even.
Regardless of who you vote, you could vote in the most based person with the best policies. How many of them do you think are going to go, right, show me this global citizenship thing that you've got in school. Get me a list of all the people that's involved in it and pretend to be interested and make sure you've got down all the thing. And whenever you've gathered up all the things, it's right. Tell them people to fuck off and never go near school again. And employ people that don't think like that. Not a chance of doing that, but that's what needs done.
It absolutely is what needs done. I mean, when you look at how Scottish education used to be sort of known around the world, it was regarded as one of the world's best in terms of education and educational standards. And
that's why you had so many fucking amazing engineers.
And for the last 20 years, I mean, I was lucky to sort of escape it. I mean, obviously, it was starting to take place while I was still in school, but I don't necessarily think it was as prevalent as it is now. I got out at the right time. But the last 20 years, especially in Scotland anyway, when they changed the curriculum from the days of old to their so-called curriculum for excellence, as it's been known, that's when things change. And there is just such a hyper focus on social justice, equity, diversity, climate change, learning for sustainability, global citizenship, etc., and all the things that these things entail. It's pretty clear that schools have become nothing short of a place where children are indoctrinated and politicized from a very young age. You know, that's why you've got like 5 and 6 year old climatologists demanding action from the government for climate change. That's why you've got 4 and 5 year olds demanding more to be done for gender equality. That's why you've got 5 and 6 year old non-fucking binaries. And that's why you have anti-racist school clubs, etc. That's not the Scotland I grew up in. No. And it's very, very convenient that they mimic the exact same rhetoric that you have become accustomed to hear from politicians. Almost. Our education system is shaping children to become identical to the politicians that we see today before us.
It is fucking sick.
What about you saying going into saying that?
Yeah, but the thing is that it's in order for, I mean, if you had the sort of want to be a teacher, which in this day and age I wouldn't recommend being especially if you're an ordinary decent person. I wouldn't want to be a teacher, because essentially you're teaching overprivileged little shitbags, or you know, in the more white things, they've now been indoctrinated to such a level that they are, you know, sensitive fucking shitbags, or if you end up in some fucking scumhole in like the middle of Birmingham or Londonistan or somewhere like that, chances are you're going to be teaching kids that you've got nothing in common with, who you won't be able to tell off for being twats in class because racisms, and even if the kids are okay, you're just going to get fucking lambasted with the shit from the fucking staff room. I don't understand how anybody could even consider going into education in this day and age. And because of that, what happens is the people who are attracted to education are the absolute scum and bottom layers of filth that we see him, embodying it now, indoctrinating all of the kids into the shit, all of the nasty, heinous shit that they want to actually make mainstream because they have certain proclivities or because they've been completely and utterly brainwashed by the regime's fucking kayfabe. It's unbelievable.
See, with all the crap that they're pushing in the primary school, where's the time for reading and writing and arithmetic?
Well, that's fun. It's like these are standards in Scotland that have been falling. I think maths is still all right, but like science and English,
Yeah, well,
these standards as a whole are falling.
There's no time for it in primary school.
Yeah,
and you have to get those basics. You have to get those basics first.
Yeah.
And high school does not have the time for teaching the basics.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing, we're taking the time for all the activism shit out of the time for whenever they should be learning English. Well, I suppose that suits them because the children don't learn to read and understand properly, which
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
they
Sorry,
don't want
mate.
that.
Sorry for you too. Sorry, I'll sorry to interrupt you, but just a quick one. And all of the diversity picks, for university, these so-called scholarships, yeah, a lot of the ones that literally are, you put your name down. Yeah, I'm Joe Smith. Yeah, discounted. I'm Dave Green, discounted. I'm Mtembe. Oh, this is interesting here. Yeah. Oh, immigrant. Yeah. Came over. Oh, right. Yeah. Let's give him the place. They rock up at fucking whichever heinous university establishment it is, and they're basically illiterate.
Yep.
Literally illiterate. Yeah.
And then what happens is they do 1, possibly 2 years of a university course that we're never going to be able to complete. And interestingly, the majority they end up with student loan debt, but how they get past not paying the student loan debt is never earn above the level that means that you have to pay it back, because you can go your whole life with student loan debt, never pay it back because you haven't there's a certain amount of earnings you have before you start paying it back.
Yeah. Well, we pay for it though, don't we? So
yeah, well, we obviously do, because it never gets paid back. So it's obviously written off.
Yeah, exactly, and this is why it absolutely boils my piss when you make a very reasonable comment, and I've actually said this is probably one of the one and only times I've actually had correspondence with my current MP, who probably won't be for different reasons, but probably won't be my MP in the next. Well, definitely won't be my MP, even if the Tories win in the next election, because they've just reclassified all of the zones. So I'm inheriting some other wank stain from the Tory party, but the MP who is currently my MP is a lady Tory, and I actually, I actually raised that as a point. I said, well, what about this? And didn't it was like water off a duck's back. It was just like literally just empty words. Yeah, it was just like fucking nothing come back.
But
Nothing at all.
The person that you send to university that's not capable of doing the course, you're not actually helping them.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, I actually said to this MP, I said, look, all the time we get told from all sides of the house, not just the Labour Party and all that, saying, oh, there's a massive underfunding of the NHS and we don't have enough of this and we don't have enough of that. And yet in the next breath, because I quoted a report that I'd actually read, which states that one of the major problems in the UK hospitals is that of retention, both for nursing and doctorate staff. And the reason for that is because when these people leave college, they're rocking, up into sort of like high double-digit debt, if not 3 digits in some instances, depending on how long it's taken them to get to where they want to be. So they all have to do their 2 years internships, because without that 2 years internship, you're not effectively a qualified doctor. But as soon as they do that 2 years internship, our doctors, in other words, the people of these isles, doctors, as soon as they finish those 2 years, because they've got that debt hanging over their heads, and by virtue of the fact that even though they've just gone on to what would be classed as a small wage in doctoring terms, it's still higher than the bracket where they have to start paying for their student loan. So as soon as they start earning, they get a wallop straight away by paying back the student loan, which is fair enough because they've racked up that debt. However, after 2 years, they say, right, fuck this, I'm off to Australia, or I'm off to Canada, or I'm off to New Zealand, or anywhere but England, or, the UK. And the problem with that is, who fills those places? Well, the rest of the fucking world. And they turn around and they say, oh, immigration made the UK, made the NHS, which is a lie. And yet, when I've said to people saying, well, why don't we tie them? Why don't we say to the people who are doing nursing degrees and medical doctor degrees, okay, let's say for this period of time when you learn to be a doctor, we're going to say that's going to cost about 100 grand. Yeah, it actually costs a lot more in the real sense, but for that 100 grand, we expect you to do 10 years service in the NHS. And if you sign up and do that, we'll pay all your educational bills. And then every year that you serve in the NHS, we'll knock 10 grand off that bill. So you've got to do your 2 years internship. But if you decide you want to fuck off to Australia or America or whatever, which is your right, we're not holding you, not binding you to the country, but you then still owe us 80 grand's worth of debt. Or if you decide to leave after 5 years, you owe us 50 grand's worth of debt. And this would, stop the incentive of wanting to run away to earn more money to try and clear off this debt as soon as possible, because they don't actually have any debt at that point in time. It would help with retention and also the remuneration that those people have, because they haven't got to pay or worry about paying back the student debt. It now becomes a lot more attractive compared to the salaries that they could expect to earn in the likes of Australia or America or wherever. And after 5 years or so, 9 times out of 10, those doctors are now going to be established, have families, even if they're in GP surgeries or whatever. So it automatically retains that staff. And the same with nurses, although it would be like 50 grand and we could pay back 10 grand a year over 5 years, but it's the same difference. And okay, it wouldn't happen. And this is why none of the politicians would ever consider such a move, because it wouldn't happen in 5 years. Well, nothing happens in 5 years. And they know that. but they want to have the pretense of bringing policies around which they can think they can put in place in 5 years, just to sort of gaslight the public. The public in this instance would know that, well, this is only going to happen over a couple of generations at least. But if we do that now, we bite the bullet and we do that now, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because they would then become the teachers of the next generation. And within 2 or 3 generations, we could have our own doctors and our own nursing staff looking after our own people, rather than they get qualified, and as soon as they've done the minimal amount of time possible to effectively become really qualified, in other words, the internship, fucking off to elsewhere. So we get the fucking, Biafran witch doctors coming in to look after our people. It's fucking horrendous.
Right. Bursary has said there, Aurora Storm said her nursing degree was paid for by bursary. I should say it used to be a bursary, but that was no obligation to stay within the NHS and put back what you'd been given. I decided to stay within the NHS and not go private, morally to pay back what was given. Emma G is currently doing her nursing degree. It's being paid for by the NHS because she worked for the NHS and she's doing it like a leveling up thing. They put her through the course. But I think with doctors of another idea. I believe whenever you graduate as a junior doctor, you go on to a low doctor's wage, but within about 5 years, that goes up considerably. Now, what about you take the figure that the training costs and they're going to have to pay back? You do not put the compound interest on it, and in 5 years' time, whenever they get that next step up in education, that's whenever they start paying it back. And whenever they get the next step up in earnings, that's whenever they start paying it back and make it all more manageable.
Well, yeah, but like I say, if you gave them the incentive, that if you've got the smarts, because unfortunately, and I know this from personal experience from a family member, getting into, because even if you've got the smarts, even if you've got the qualifications, actually getting a space in medical school is fucking hard tack. And it's not because there aren't a lot of spaces there for people. It's because through greed, not for the betterment of society or the betterment of education, through nothing more than greed, the universities in question will always, always, always favour foreign students over local students because they pay far more, and it's
Yes.
a business deal. And that in itself is an absolute effrontery. Hence why the UK government would say to those colleges, "Okay, we'll give you this money to train these number of doctors and whatever. And, if there's the odd place going here and there, you can offer them up to the foreigners. But until then, fuck them all off." That's what we should be doing.
Here's another thing. The student loans, what they have progressively done is they have increased the limit that can be charged for a course or a year's tuition or whatever it is. They outsource that to private finance. A lot of money that people end up paying back is actually compound interest that was accrued between the time of getting the degree and starting to pay it back due to the level of your earnings. Compound interest kicks in, but they increase the amount that the person can apply for period every year, every other year. And then they become all surprised whenever the tuition increases in price exactly in line with the top amount that the students allowed to apply for. And maybe if they stopped increasing the amount that the students allowed to apply for, the tuition wouldn't go up the same way that it does, because it's just like saying it's free money to the university, because they just get a fucking pay in, and it's free money to the student because we're selling fucking vastly expensive normalized financial packages to basically children who have no understanding of what it takes to pay it back. And if someone was to, if an 18-year-old in secondary school went along to the bank and says, I'd like to borrow £100,000, because I'm going to buy property, that person, the people running the loan would be, fuck away off, we're not letting you for that. You have no collateral, you haven't got anything down to put on it. We've nothing that we can recoup the money from. No, we're not doing that. But £100,000 for 4 years university and a diploma that's not necessarily going to get you a job or the money to pay that back. Yeah, certainly. Same here. I don't even care if the chances of you passing that course are as low as fucking 30%. Yeah, just saying that. Same here. Away you go. Take all that debt and have your fucking that person's then fucking saddled and crippled with debt for the rest of their life. And there's a lot of people that have went to university, flunked out, and can't take a traditional. That would be a cheap 4 years in America, Mr. Blogs.
Yeah.
100,000. That won't actually open up their own business and start to earn more money that way or whatever, work their way up, because they know that there's a ceiling that they can't earn above in order to avoid the fucking repayments.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all wrong. I mean, I don't understand how these intelligent people who do these Beyonce studies degrees don't think that it won't pay at the end of it. You know what I mean? It's just.
That's the thing as well about unis, though. Like, I know, albeit it's anecdotal, but I know quite a few people, and I have known over the years, people that have come and gone, who've gone to university for, like, all credit to them. They've gone to university for a pretty decent degree, whether it's like computer tech or whatever the case may be. Not going to sit here and pretend I'm savvy in all the courses in uni, but pretty high end stuff. Then they've come out the other side of it after all these years and they can't find a job. Right? There was even a guy that I was working with several months ago. He was with us for a good few months to tie himself over because he recently finished uni and he couldn't find a fucking job. And he didn't even leave us to go and find a job that was right there waiting for him because of his qualifications. No, he just went somewhere else that had a bit better pay, right? That's one issue. But then you've also got the much worse issue now where people are getting themselves into debt going to uni to do meaningless courses, learning about genders and feminism and queer theory, as Billy Bloggs said, or lesbian dance therapy, as Billy Bloggs also said, or any of these other fucking nonsensical, stupendous courses. And they come out dead and bereft of any job opportunities. Why? Because there's nobody screaming out for a dick who knows all there is to know about queer theory.
Oh, there is.
Aye, maybe in a school or something, but the point is, I think the point here, but the point here is, though, if people are going to uni for credible degrees and coming out the other side of it, struggling to find work, and then in turn find themselves in debt, it should be no fucking surprise that spazzes and mongos go to university to do retarded degrees and come out the other side in debt and not finding work.
Right. Well, you've got two types of people come out of university with the understudy degrees. About 10% of them go to human resources, 10% of them go to like NGOs, activism groups, that type of thing with an intern. And the other 80% ask you, do you want fries with that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, don't get some of them will find jobs, but I think like by and large, like they're going to university to learn the most meaningless and pointless talking points, or they're basically going there and wasting money or getting into debt to learn nothing, and then they come out the other side of it with nothing to show for it except debt. You know.
Oh, they
I
have
feel
done
for the people. I feel for the people who go to uni with all good intentions, and they hope that if they can get like an architect degree of some sort or something, that they're going to go places in life, and then they come out struggling to find a job. Feel for them, but I have no sympathy for somebody called Jemima who went to university with long blonde hair and then returned 4 years later in 50k of debt with a short purple man bun, who did a gender study degree, and she's struggling to make ends meet. I couldn't fucking care less.
Oh, they did a thing in America where they went to like 10 universities and they gave all the first year pupils an exam in their first like 2 weeks. Here, there's do this exam, blah, blah, blah. Done that and went back 4 years later and gave what was left of them, because a lot of them had dropped out, at the same exam. Whenever they looked at the marks, they scored better on the one whenever they just arrived than they did on the one after 4 years of education. They are actually paying to make themselves stupider.
Well, there you go. I mean, they're planning. There's talks of them like scrap. I don't know the ins and outs of it in Scottish high schools, but they're wanting to get rid of like prelims, and there's talks of them getting rid of exams full stop, and they want it to be effectively like once or twice a year. You'll do like a test, a class test, equivalent of a class test, that type of thing, or you'll be graded at the end of the year on your overall performance in your work. And obviously, one argument to be made there is that they're doing this because exams sort of, they sort of set an unfair precedent, which there is an argument to be made there that I do get to, that I do agree with, because exams really are just there to sort of determine whether or not you've remembered enough when you've revised, as opposed to actually knowing what you're fucking talking about. Hence why people come up with like catchy tunes in their head or whatever to try and remember the answers to questions, etc., etc. The other argument, however, on the flip side to be made there is that they're preparing for a future where people are just dumber, that you're not going to require qualifications to enter any job that you want in the future.
Oh, it's much more nefarious than that.
Oh, do tell.
Right. If the teacher gets to pick the grade, the teacher gets to pick the grade. The people that they like, that have the opinions that they like, gets a good grade. The people that they do not like and do not have the opinions that they do not like, gets the shit grade.
Well, I could very much see that being a possibility. But like one of the things, the final straws from my missus when she decided to pull her kids out of school, because she homeschools them now, and she won't mind me saying this because she said it elsewhere on like public chats and whatnot, but it was the George Floyd BS, and obviously that was rife across schools up and down the UK. But her oldest son, he knew a bit more about the story of George Floyd, about the sort of backstory as opposed to the narrative that the media were presenting and Black Lives Matter were presenting. So when the teacher decided to take time out of her day to start speaking to the class about George Floyd and how he was murdered by a racist police officer, the boy, to his credit, sort of tried to push back to the teacher and was on about how he has to be put on the ground, etc. And he was out his tits on fentanyl and whatnot. He got absolutely berated by this teacher and was accused of looking into conspiracy theories, etc. So my point to that is, like, any dissent or any pushback in school, as it stands, is going to lead you into trouble. So, yeah, I can see your point there. If they had the ability to determine whether or not you passed the course at the end of said year, if you fucked them off, like for example, using said example as an example, can quite easily see how that boy, hypothetically speaking, could have failed his courses at the end of the year. You know what I mean?
even without that aspect of it, whenever they take the names off the exams, they find that boys do like 7% better than they do with the names being on. Right. Whenever the teacher can see if they're marking a boy or a girl, the boys are 7% down and the girls are like 4% up.
Oh, you mean when their names are on like the?
Yep.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
Right. Now, you take that along with you've got that, plus you've got the do I like this person's politics? Are they going to go forth into the workplace and promote the stuff that I have told them to promote? Because if they're not, I really can't give them a mark that's going to allow them to go forward.
Yeah. No, I could see that. You're not wrong there, actually. I could absolutely see it. I never really gave that avenue too much thought before. Like, even when I presented those wee hypotheticals in terms of both sides of the argument, I never really thought that far into it. But no, you actually do have a point there. Because especially nowadays, the way that the education system has become, they're no longer teachers by and large. They're for the most part useful idiots /
they're political activists.
Yeah, activists, and as a result, by extension, they're politicizing children. So any child that sort of disagrees could quite easily find themselves failing courses, or dare I say as well, what you might also tend, because you're seeing this now anyway, anecdotal obviously, but I know this from people I've spoken to, the fear of speaking out in school. Currently, a lot of kids don't push back from the sort of crap they're being presented in schools, but I think that could be a lot worse if teachers had the ability to determine whether or not you pass courses as opposed to you taking an exam at the end of the year. If your teacher determines whether or not you pass a course, you're going to be even less likely or inclined to speak out. I do know that from first-hand experience. There's quite a few people I speak to who have kids in school, and my mother's friend works in my old high school. Funnily enough, the stories she tells me are pretty fucking bogging. Sort of to John, Powell's comment ages ago, he said he had I think it was him, said he had a mate who was a teacher, and the stories he's heard, blah blah. Like I can relate to that. A lot of the shit that they're being presented with in school nowadays, I mean, it's just nonsensical, but children quite often find themselves not feeling confident enough to speak out about it, because if they do, well, they're just going to end up in fucking bother. So they just become silent. And it's ironic, really, because these are the types of people who push the idea and the narrative. Silence is violence. White silence is violence, Yeah, you're making people silent and submissive.
Right. Is there anything either of you to or have a burning desire to get off your chests? We've done like come to 3:20 minutes and it's coming up to 2:00. So I'm thinking about wrapping this up.
Yeah, mate. No, that's I think we've done a good mixture of serious and light. Yeah, been a good one again.
Oh, Matt, you've missed it. You've pretty much missed all of it. I hope you had a good gig.
Yeah, we were calling you all the names under the sun, Almac.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm going to dig up this outro.
Yes.
Right. No. Right, hold on. I wasn't expecting that to come up just so quick. Right. Sansom, as always, an absolute pleasure. DJ, thank you very much. Any last words before I put this up and take us out?
Only to say thank you for having us on again, mate, and thank you for the chat for staying with us. I think it's been a good one, mate. So cheers for that.
Yep.
Aye. Fucking hell. Very professional. Start coughing there straight away. But obviously, I don't appear in many streams nowadays because I'm sleeping all the fucking time. I'm convinced there's something wrong with me. But no, it's good to sort of pop on from time to time and get some shite off thy chest, shall we say. So, aye, it's been a pleasure. And until next time.
Excellent. And the both of you, I really enjoy doing this stream. It's my favorite stream. I love doing this on a regular basis, and thank you very much for coming on. And I shall play this intro, and then we'll get out of here.
Darker gets darker. The deeper you go down, you go down.
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And the finder of lost children.
You will need a light to guide you, and an angel to walk beside you. I dare you to go down. You want to know the truth, don't you?
I find the evil and the greedy under every turned rock, where I spit out the truth, the establishment mock. From all sides I watch the opposition grow, trying to terminate the information flow. But the good book reminds me that I am blessed, protected and guided during every quest. In the valley of darkness my way is clear. I carry a big stick and I feel no fear. So prepare yourself for eternal damnation. In your nest of vipers I found my vocation. Are we so deaf that we cannot hear the screams of the children? Are we so blind that we cannot see? We are living in the depths of depravity. Are we so inept we let monsters roam, fueled on power and a dreaded throne? Are we so weak we cannot fight back, beholden to our masters? The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. But blessed is he who in the name of charity or goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. The finder of lost children. The righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. But blessed is he who in the name of charity or goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. The finder of lost children. Of lost children.
The rabbit hole. I dare you to go down.
Okay, everybody. How do you get that off? Right. Sansom was Sansom, DJ was DJ. I've been 42, and you lot in the chat have been fucking amazing as always. Good night, God bless. See you all next week. I'm out of here. Bye.